Yikes. Well, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you Monday.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, Morash. Thank you, McMonigal. Thank you so much to Aaron Boone. Mark Chernoff helped with that. Ricky Ricardo helped with that, so thank you. And Mike is up next for the last time in that spot. Have a good weekend, everyone. See ya.
It's Football Friday, and we'll be talking up all of this weekend's big matchups, including 49ers Saints, Ravens Bills, and Chiefs Patriots. Plus, preview the Jets Dolphins and Giants Eagles games. And coming up tomorrow, it's a big college football championship Saturday doubleheader on the Fan, beginning at 3:30 with the SEC title game as LSU meets Georgia, followed by the Big Ten championship game as Ohio State takes on Wisconsin. So keep your radio, mobile phone, smart speakers, and even your computer locked into your flagship station for NFL football and the best games in town. Sports Radio 1019 FM and Sports Radio 66 WFAN and WFAN FM New York, a radio.com sports station.
Football powered by Bet America, America's Sportsbook. Winter baseball meetings start next week in San Diego. Yankee General Manager Brian Cash.
We're open for business when we find mutual common ground with clubs or players and their representatives. So we're ready to rock and roll at any time. But it just takes time.
No secret the Yankees had major interest in free agent pitchers Garrett Cole and Steven Strasburg. The Nets have won 6 of 8 off the 130-118 win over the Hawks the other night. Nets and Hornets tonight in Charlotte. Nets a game above 500 on the season. 11-10 continue to play without Kyrie Irving. Brooklyn Nets basketball on the Fan at 6:50. Rangers home to Montreal. Devils Blackhawks tonight at Prudential Center. Devils on the radio.com app at 7. College football, the Pac-12 title game. Utah-Oregon, importance other than the obvious. Utah in the mix for a berth in the college football playoff. And sports sponsored by Casper Sleep. Award-winning mattresses and bedding are here just in time for the holidays. Visit the Casper Sleep Shop today. Get the gift of better sleep. Hurry, because they have amazing deals going on right now. Comfort and joy are right around the corner at the Casper Sleep Shop. 48 degrees, skies are cloudy, and that's what's happening. This is John Minko on Sports Radio 1019 FM and Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Listen to the Fan anytime, anywhere. Download the radio.com app. Favorite us today. And if you have a smart speaker, just say, play WFAN.
Mike's on. He's ready to go on the Fan. New York Sports Radio. Mike's on. Mike's on. He'll get you the sports any way that he can. It's Mike Francesa on the Fan. Sports Radio 66 and 1019 FM WFAN.
From the studios of WFAN, this is Mike's on Francesa on the Fan on this 6th day of December. Football Friday. And obviously the final show of what has been a very, very long run here for me. I tweeted this morning. I said I first did an afternoon drive show in November of 1987. That was the first one that I did an afternoon drive by myself. I sat in on Thanksgiving Day and then the day after for Pete Franklin. So November 1987 was the first time I entered afternoon drive on the Fan. I did a lot of shows in the time leading up to the fall of '89. I did many shows filling in for Pete in the afternoon. I did about 3 or 4 months worth right before Mike and the Mad Dog started. And obviously this has been my home since September 5th, 1989, for the first 19 3/4 years with Dog, and then the 12 years since by myself. That's a lot of time. I mean, that's half a lifetime that I have spent these hours. And, there's very few people who get to even, work at a major station in New York. I mean, it's a honor to do that. But to have the same show and the same hours for over 30 years is more than anybody could ask for. So this is the last one. We will, not spend a lot of time dwelling on that. Maybe the last couple of minutes we'll chat about it a little bit in the last half hour. But this is the final afternoon drive show for me after all these years. There'll be a new show starting in January when they start the winter. Obviously, there'll be, different shows filling in the next couple of weeks. I know they haven't announced yet what's going to follow. I don't know. You'll have to wait and see what's going to follow. I think it'll be comprised of the people who are here, so I don't think they're going outside the company to put the shows together. At least I don't think so. But they haven't consulted with me and told me what they're doing yet, so I haven't heard. But whoever it is, we wish them well. And obviously, I wish them even a portion of the good fortune and success that I've had doing this for these many, many years. So it's been a incredible run. I remember very well getting called into the program director's office in August of 89 on a summer day, and the program director at that time, a guy named Mark Mason, said to me, "Hey, I want to tell you some good news. You're going afternoon drive." I said, "Great. But you're not going alone." So that's how it started. That became the saga of Mike and the Mad Dog. That was Mark Mason's idea. One that will be the highlight of his career, obviously, for a long time, having had the ingenuity and the smarts to create a show that most people were against. Most people thought could not work. Most people who critiqued it said it wouldn't work. A month in, most of them felt it was doomed for failure. Most people inside the station felt the same thing, and it obviously became the biggest and most successful sports talk show of all time. So he gets credit for that, and rightly so, and I owe him a lot of debt of gratitude because it was his idea. He took the chance on us and really withstood, and it just is a good thing to remember, withstood a tremendous amount of pressure and criticism early on, but stuck by his guns, and it turned out to be something that he's spent a lot of time taking bows for many years since, and rightly so. But he had conviction. He believed in it. He believed it would work. A lot of people didn't. I mean, early on it was a tough go for a little while, as we know. But we all know what the final result was, and led to a very long time here and a very long relationship with this station and with this audience, and for that I am very grateful. I've said it many times, I have had the most loyal and consistent audience that anybody could ever have. I mean, really. I mean, we've been very fortunate to be at the top of the ratings for 30 years, and that's a testimony to having just a very loyal audience, because without the audience, it doesn't work. You guys are the ones that make the decisions, just like in most things. The public makes the decisions. That's it. I mean, without that, you have the power to make things succeed and things fail. I mean, whether it's teams, whether it's restaurants, whether it's personalities, whether it's movies, whatever it may be. It's based on whether or not you people respond to it. If you don't respond, it doesn't work. It doesn't last long. And obviously, so I owe you a great debt of gratitude for that. To the ones who people know because they call in, that's that's less than 2% of the audience that ever calls in. You meet people and they say, "Hey, I don't call in." Well, most people don't call in. 98% don't ever call. But you need the callers who participate, and then you need everybody else to just show up and listen. And for that, I am very, very grateful to the audience for their tremendous response and their incredible consistency over such a long period of time. So we got a Football Friday to get to. Obviously, some interesting things going on. The first will revolve around the Cowboys from last night. A terrible, just another head-scratching performance. You know, you look at the Cowboys, and it is just obvious to the eye. I mean, they have among the more talented teams in the league. I mean, you look at them, you go position by position, you go down the line. This team is the perfect example of the whole not being anywhere near the sum of the parts. They have players, they just don't make plays. I mean, they are an incredibly talented team. I would go so far as to say that very few rosters in this league would change places man for this whole team. I mean, this team has you go down the list. On the defensive side of the ball, which was so disappointing last night, to the offensive side of the ball, to the offensive line, to the skill position. I mean, this team is loaded with players, and they just cannot get out of their own way. And the division, the once mighty NFC East. I mean, think about the NFC East. Think about the days of the mighty NFC East. Think about having, the Cowboys and all they've accomplished, the Giants and all they've accomplished, the Redskins and all they've accomplished. And even the Eagles have won a Super Bowl and been to two. This division, there are no teams who have, every one of the teams has been to multiple Super Bowls. Every team in the division has won a Super Bowl. Most of them have been at the top. I mean, the Redskins, were good in the days of George Allen. They won 3 Super Bowls with Joe Gibbs. The Eagles finally got on the board, went to a Super Bowl with Andy Reid, won a Super Bowl just recently. The Cowboys and all their many runs, whether it was with Landry or then to Jimmy Johnson and then finally to Barry Switzer, and what they've accomplished. And, of course, the Giants 5 times with 4 wins. I mean, this is a decorated division. It has always been one of the NFL's toughest neighborhoods, and right now it is embarrassingly weak. I tweeted during the game that the NFCs had decided they weren't going to send a team this year. And, people actually responded, hey, you can't do that. You have to send a team. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Really? They thought I was serious. I mean, but it's amazing. People, they just respond to everything. But, obviously, they're going to send a team. But they might send one this year at 8-8. They might, who knows? Maybe the Redskins will get hot and win it at 7-9. Although they have to win at Green Bay first this week. But, the Eagles lose and you say, all right, now Dallas is division. The Dallas can't win a game, though. They can't get out of their way. I mean, they get embarrassed before Thanksgiving. They get embarrassed on Thanksgiving. They get embarrassed after Thanksgiving. That was another rotten performance. Just like the Buffalo game on Thanksgiving was a rotten performance. This was a rotten performance last night. And I watched Jason after the game, and I watched Jerry Jones after the game. And, you're waiting for Jerry to just, say, this is it, I'm cleaning out. Well, he hasn't said anything. And you know how much he likes Jason, but you would have to think that this year he will have to make a change. And, early in the year there had been all kinds of talk because of the relationship between Prescott and Moore that he had become the guy who was the object of Jerry's attention. But I would think, considering how bad the staff and the head coach have been this year, you can't take somebody off the staff now. You can't. Not when you play like this. So I would think it's probably, if Jason's going, you would think that he's back to his obsession with Lincoln Riley, I would think. But one thing about that, yeah, he's done some great work with quarterbacks on the college level. And he's won, but he puts a team out there that's the same all the time. They can outscore anybody. They can't win the championship because they can't play defense. They can score a ton of points. They can give up a ton of points. But it's very difficult for them to do anything else because of the fact that they just don't play a whole lot of defense. Will he walk in the NFL and be successful? Maybe. I wouldn't say it's automatic. But who is? Very few guys are. But it sure looks like they're headed for a change. I mean, with what they've done of late, it is almost head-scratching. They have been so bad. And you can't have as many players as they have and play as bad as they play. I mean, they're just playing so badly. It's unbelievable. I was surprised with what happened with the Eagles on Sunday. I was just as surprised with how poorly the Cowboys have played in recent weeks. Nobody wants a division. Well, then, there's always the back end you have to bring up, and that's the Giants. But, I mean, even the Redskins have started to play better. But someone's going to win it. Maybe. I don't think I've seen a team in this format. I don't think I've ever seen a 7-9 division winner. I've seen an 8-8 division winner. I remember the 8-8 Browns almost upset the Dolphins in the playoffs. Dolphins finally pulled away in the final minutes, but they actually were actually getting ready to win a game. They were like getting ready to spring an upset at 8-8. I remember an 8-8 team going. I'm sure it's happened once that I can't remember off the top of my head. I think once, didn't we have a team in the West, in the NFC West, go with 7-8-1 one year?
2010 Seahawks.
7-8-1? Is that what they were? 7-8-1? I think that was true, right? 7-8-1?
7-9.
7-9. Okay, I thought it was 7-8-1. Okay, 7-9. Okay. 7-9. Okay, so it did happen. It could happen again here. It could happen again. 8-8, 7-9. It's hard to go to the playoffs at 7-9 and, go there with your head up and your shoulders back and feel proud about yourself. But, hey, somebody has to go. They don't let you cancel it. So somebody's got to go, even though nobody deserves it. And if you look at it now, the Eagles are back in it, but they have to be motivated to play this week against the Giants. It's right there in front of them if they can win their games. They went out. They're going to be 9-7. The Cowboys, the way they're playing, they're not going anywhere. So, hey, somebody's got to win it. Somebody's got to get hot. But I would have thought that if the Eagles had won last week against the Dolphins, I would be saying right now off last night that there's no way the Eagles aren't winning the division. But I watched them last week lose a 28-14 lead in a game they had to win to the Dolphins. So it's hard to take them seriously. The Knicks is not, just, there's nothing to say. It's so sad there's just nothing to say. You follow up a game where you get beat by 44 with a game at home that you get beat by 37. Come on now. There's not even anything to say in defense of anybody over there. It almost boggles the mind how bad it is now. Back-to-back games in the league, get beat by 81 points. Sad. Really sad. So, Football Friday, we got a lot to get to on this 6th day of December. We'll get it all rolling right after this.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. Soon, you'll have a separate fridge in the basement, where extra groceries are exiled forever. Remember that frozen lasagna? Of course you don't. It's been down there since 2008. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Piece of cake. Behind the lasagna. It's very old. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Spectrum Mobile makes it easy to save. Mix and match our unlimited and by-the-gig data plans and build the perfect family plan that fits your needs. Unlimited nationwide talk and text included. See for yourself with the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator. Enter your information and see how you can save up to 40% or more over other carriers. It's that easy. Plus, you can change plans anytime. And there are no added taxes, fees, or contracts. Click to learn more.
When we were looking at SUVs, it turned into this bombardment of annoying phone calls from pushy salespeople. So we started looking online, and then we found Lot 99 and the SUV we wanted. We took it for a drive, thought about it, and then 2 days later we called and picked up our car that day. There were no annoying phone calls or sales pitches or making us think that we didn't have time to make our own decision. It was perfect.
Visit lot99llc.com. Find your car, come and get it, done. Lot 99, your no BS auto dealer.
Time for another Action Network Flash. Through 13 weeks of the pro football season, Buffalo has the best record against the spread at 8-3-1, and it's an underdog against Baltimore on Sunday. For all the betting info, download the free Action Network app today.
Black Friday savings are still going strong at the Home Depot, with $50 in instant savings on any Samsung top-load laundry pair. But don't stop there. Buy any Samsung refrigerator and range and get an extra $100 off. For the best price on Samsung appliances, now, the only place you should stop is here. Black Friday savings, still going strong at the Home Depot. More saving, More Do It. U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra. See store for details. Valid through January 1st.
At Capital One, you can open a new savings account in about 5 minutes and earn 5 times the national average. Banking with Capital One means 5 times the savings to help pay for your perfect honeymoon. Or 5 times the savings toward your family's perfect vacation.
Big fan of water rides.
It's time to help make your savings goals come true. This is Banking Reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA, member FDIC. You can't help but love this time of year. But between the parties, kids' recitals,
Jingle all the way,
and finding gifts for everyone on your list,
and check.
You're going to need a little something to help you make the most of it. Introducing McDonald's new Snickerdoodle McFlurry and Bacon Barbecue Burger. Made with 100% fresh beef and crispy applewood smoked bacon, it's an easy, delicious dinner so you can keep savoring the season. At participating McDonald's for a limited time. Fresh beef available at most restaurants in contiguous U.S. Not available in Alaska, Hawaii, and U.S. territories.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.08%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. Pay 1.25% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Napa know-how.
Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil in a platinum filter is just $23.98. That's a great deal for a great oil, which is another reason why this is the most wonderful time of the year. That's Napa full synthetic oil in a platinum filter for $23.98. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. While supplies last. Offer ends 12/15/19.
Spectrum Mobile makes it easy to save. Mix and match our unlimited and by the gig data plans and build the perfect family plan that fits your needs. Unlimited nationwide talk and text included. See for yourself with the Spectrum Mobile Savings Calculator. Enter your information and see how you can save up to 40% or more over other carriers. It's that easy. Plus, you can change plans anytime. And there are no added taxes, fees, or contracts. Click to learn more.
You know, I was chatting with Aaron Boone was in here today. He was doing a speech, to a group here in the building. So when I got here, they told me he was here, so they asked me to go down and talk to him for a couple minutes. So because he was hanging around, so they said, "Why don't you go down and talk to him for a minute?" So I went down and sat with him for a couple minutes, and we were talking. And he was talking about that he had gone on a recruiting trip for obviously the pitcher, and how impressed he was with Cole, and how impressed he was with everything about him and his competitiveness and everything else. So he got the impression Cole was very serious about the Yankees. And obviously the Angels are going to be in there bidding very, very strongly too. It's going to come down to lifestyle. It's going to come down to where he wants to live. Both states are going to tax you, so he's not going to get a state where there's no state income tax, which would play into that big contract too. But that's not the case here. So he's obviously there's a lot of reasons to pick the Yankees. The Angels would be that he wants to live in California. He's from Newport Beach, California. But so I think they feel very good that when they make the big offer that Cole's going to be receptive. So it sounded like they were fairly confident about Cole. They obviously would be interested in Strasburg if Cole wasn't there, but Cole seems to be their first choice, and sounds like they're fairly confident that things have gone very well with Cole, and they feel that Cole's very interested. At least that's the impression I got from that. They felt that Cole was very, very interested in. Now, we're going on the premise all things are equal money-wise. That, the Angels and the Yankees, who seem to be the main bidders, there's always the thought the Dodgers could be involved. But the Dodgers evidently are interested in position players also, so that might mitigate them to go in a different direction. But clearly the Yankees have not hidden the fact that they're interested in Cole. And it looks like they feel pretty confident that they connected well. They are on the same page. And I gather he's, from what I could tell, very competitive and also a freak about preparation in preparing for the team. Absolute freak about preparation. So that was a big part of it. So, if you're a Yankee fan, I think it sounds like you could be optimistic that he is not going to just run away and hide and go to California, that he is very serious about the Yankees. Now, again, it might come down to something we don't know about. It might come down to just money. Who knows? But it sounds like the Yankees are going to be understanding that he is going to break the bank. He's going to get an enormous contract. That goes without saying. So he's going to get it from the Angels, he's going to get it from the Yankees. He's going to get it from anybody who's going to get involved. John in Hofstra. What's up, John?
Hey, Mike. First off, before I get to my last question to you, a very quick thank you. I've enjoyed not just our conversations, but the entertainment you provided over the years. And on to my final question. You said something at the end of the show yesterday about the Knicks being the sleeping giant, and it's always been something on my mind I wanted to ask you. If you're someone like me who's been listening and calling for over 20 years, and you remember the 90s where you could talk basically about a foul call for like a month if the Knicks fans and everybody in New York was so crazy about the Knicks and what was going on in the 90s and the Rangers and the Yankees. And I just want to know what sports talk, in your mind as a sports talk host, I know what it's like for a listener as myself and everybody, but as a host, to go from a time when things were just so amazing and there was such fire and desire and passion, which is still so hidden deep inside of all us fans who love these teams, to aside from a few specks of glory with the Giants Super Bowl run, and unless you're a Yankee fan, the last 10 to 20 years for a majority of all these teams has been an absolute nightmare, an utter disgrace, and it's been horrendous. It went from talking about what we need to get over the top for the Knicks to just complaining and killing these teams and these coaches and owners. And I just want to know what it was like for you. Obviously, you want sports to be great and to have excitement to talk about, but what's it been like for you just to hear going from that time in the 90s when you thought it would never end to the garbage and trash that we've seen for the last 20 years?
The winters have become very tough around here the last recent years. January has been a very tough month around here the recent years because you haven't had any local football. You haven't had any playoff football. And if you have playoff football, everybody after the holidays, and after the holidays, after you get through New Year's, all anybody's thinking about, unless you're someone who, loves winter sports, like you ski every weekend, unless you're someone like that, all you're thinking about is getting through the next couple of months and getting to the spring. So you start to either think about, I can't wait to get onto the golf course, or I can't wait for pitches and catches because I need baseball back, and you look for the oasis, which is the NCAA tournament, that at least gets you out of the doldrums. And it has made, especially January, very, very tough because of the fact that we haven't had any playoff football in this town. Then add to the fact, I was telling someone this just on this subject just yesterday. It was, as a matter of fact, I was doing an interview because I've done a lot of interviews recently about me leaving, and I've also done a lot of interviews about being in this Sandler movie that opens, on Christmas Day. It opens before that in New York, but Uncut Gems, which has got a lot of critical acclaim. But there was a time, and you wouldn't even realize it now. I mean, I can go on this show a month without mentioning the Knicks. I guarantee I've gone months without mentioning the Knicks. There was a time where we would do something that happened in a Knick playoff game for days on end. I remember times where we talked about the Knicks for a month straight, where we didn't talk about anything else. That is so... I haven't had a show that was dominated by the Knicks where start to finish in 15 years. And they played more playoff games in the Garden in '94, combining the two teams, than they have played since. Man, that's crazy. They played 25 games in the Garden that year. 49 playoff games between the two teams, 25 of them in the Madison Square Garden. They haven't played 25 playoff games in the Madison Square Garden in the last 20 years. I mean, the Rangers had a good run, obviously, went to the Stanley Cup Finals one year. But, I mean, the Rangers have had their moments, but there's nothing. I mean, nothing from the Knicks standpoint, and it has changed things dramatically. The Knicks were a big player, and I'm telling you, the reason I mentioned this the other day is because what Garnett said is true. Hey, how do you pass the Garden? If you were to build the Knicks, if you were the player that rebuilt the Knicks, if you were the player who was the reason for their rebirth, and put Madison Square Garden back on the map, as only the Knicks can, and electrify this town. This town has an undercurrent to it that has an enormous love affair with basketball. The city. That is dormant, and has laid dormant for such a long time. So there's not been anything to discuss, and they now are as pitiful as they've ever been. And, to me, we could sit there and, people can talk about whether or not they're going to fire the coach. Who cares? What the heck do I care if they fire the coach? Unless they're going to fire the players, what do you care? No coach is going to change that team. Is the coach getting anything out of the team? We heard that this coach was tough on players and that he was going to be a, guy who developed talent. The guy with the Nets develops players. He develops players. He makes them better. The Knicks haven't gotten better at anything. I mean, we got sold a bill of goods there. And they went out because they had, you see, here's the sad part. Last year was the unkindest cut because they actually had the money and couldn't spend it on anything. Nobody wanted them. So they had to go out and give guys put them on one-year contracts just to give up the money, get the money out there and get a bunch of guys that nobody wants. But it has changed things. It really has. It has made it a very, and you get your moments, like we on this station have, I'll tell you what we adopted. We adopted all of LeBron conversation. I mean, LeBron became a very big part day in, day out in the playoffs. How good is LeBron? When is LeBron disappointing? When is he great? When is he... It became a lot of talk about LeBron. He kind of, stood in for the fact that we didn't have basketball in this town. It became, an obsession with him. That's what we talked about. Frank in New Rochelle. What's up, Frank?
Hey, Mike, how are you? Thanks for 30 years of straight talk, Mike. It's been great run.
Thank you.
Real quick, is Didi signing contingent on Cole, or is Didi in, out, no matter what?
I think Didi's out. I think Didi's out. I think he's going. As a matter of fact, I think Didi's going to the Phillies. I keep hearing he's going to the Phillies.
Right. How about, what do they do with Frazier? His value has dropped.
I think they trade him.
They're going to trade him?
I think so. I think they do. Okay. And I also think they trade Miggy. I think they trade Andujar.
Okay. And last thing, you're absolutely right. When Atkinson was losing 60 games a couple of years ago, he built the culture. You could tell they were shooting.
The guy knows how to coach. Guy knows how to coach. He also knows how to develop players too.
Right. He's been there when I don't know if it's accurate, but when Kyrie Irving and says that the reason why he came, part of the reason was Atkinson and the culture. The culture of that team is such that,
Hey, Irving goes out, they go out and win games.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great coach. He's a wonderful coach who does what you said, develops talent. They do. He's a lifer, and he's a wonderful coach. He develops players. Absolutely develops players.
Joe in St. James. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Mike. Listen, I called you the day before Thanksgiving. I don't remember. We talked about Bernie Williams, borderline Hall of Fame, and what his shortcomings and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to you, isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame that most baseball fans won't fully understand how great that guy was and didn't get to see him day in and day out, how clutch he was? And you said to me, you and I do, Joe, and that's what adds to how special a player he was.
Right.
And I want to tell you that's what makes you special to me. I'm 38 years old. I graduated high school in '99, and I got the privilege of hearing you, having access to you, and actually anticipating and listening and waiting to hear what you had to say. You taught me how to be, along with my father, who you remind me of. You helped me to become an intelligent fan, well-rounded, impartial, and informed. How it's okay to criticize your teams and have standards, how to have expectations, just as it is to celebrate. I mean, the Yankee fans, those postseasons, magic, right? No one thought it was going to end, and I got to share them with my dad. And I was in high school, but you and Chris are just as big components of that.
Well, thank you. And Dog is a big part, and thank you for that. And Dog's a big part of this, because remember, I spent 20 years with Dog. And, when I walk away from this, I walk away from the whole thing. And Mike and the Mad Dog was the biggest part of all of it. So, we'd spent 20 years together doing this. So, what we built will last a very long time. So, yes, this is, this today is the linkage to the Dog. Absolutely. I mean, this is a big part of this, no question. That is a very big part of it. Josh in Belmore. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Mike. Just all this talk about how embarrassing the Knicks are, and obviously the Giants and Jets aren't far behind. It's just amazing to me how then talking about winter sports to you was for people who ski or waiting for pitchers and catchers, and there was no mention of hockey. And you briefly mentioned the Rangers' success, but meanwhile, in this town, we have two teams that are playing well, that are rebuilding the right way, that are doing things the right way. And the fact that you continue to neglect all those hockey fans and never mention hockey and just don't care and how obvious it is, to me, is the one regret I have of listening to you for so
That's
long.
fine.
Everything else is great, but I just wish you acknowledged hockey.
No, listen, I do during the playoffs. I don't during the regular season. You have other places where you can get it. And you know what? You can't do everything. And I don't try to do what I don't know. So I wasn't going to add much to you from a hockey standpoint. So, and what I did was use the guys who could add to you in the playoffs and ask them the questions that needed to be asked, whether it was, Micheletti or Pierre or whoever we used, Eddie Olczyk, whatever guys we used, and that's why I did it. We were always there for them during the playoffs, always, and that was what I thought is when the NHL's at its best. And that's just the way it is. I mean, right now we don't do a lot of regular season NBA either. I mean, except maybe a couple of the big games. The NBA's like the NHL is a playoff sport. They're playoff sports. They are highly concentrated in the spring, just like the NHL would be. And you know what? If the Islanders get on a run this year, I'm sure there'll be a lot of Islander coverage, and they should be on the station if they turn out to be a team that could go a long way this year. And I hope they are. I think that would be great. I hope that's the case. And when the Rangers were, we never neglected it. We did hockey every day when the Rangers were in the playoffs, every day. And thankfully, we had the guys who could come on and do it. Bob in New Jersey. What's up, Bob?
All right, Mike, this is it. I guess everything happens for a reason. I didn't get through the last time on your last day, and I'm happy to be on this time, man. I wish you well.
Thank you.
It was a great run. I've had a blast calling in. I don't know. I call in 3 times a week, I think, since 2014. I've had a job switch. Made me kind of work from home. I think I called you once in 2007. You were right. We had an argument about resting the players with the Giants when they made the playoffs and were playing the Patriots. I was never happier to be wrong when they won the Super Bowl. But I think some of your listeners will get a kick out of the first time I ever called this show because it really doesn't exist anymore with technology. And I was with a bunch of buddies, a buddy, Greg Manos, who used to own a deli in Staten Island. We were at the play-by-play when you had the show. Okay?
Right.
After the game, we used to do that show.
Sure. Yeah.
and I was at the bar, and you came down with Chris, and you were talking to us, and you and I got in a little tit about the Giants. And the next day I'm at work, and I worked on a trading desk at Smith Barney, and it was a day that the markets were quiet because everybody else was off. It was either Columbus Day or it was a non-presidential election day. We don't close for any election days, but It was a very quiet day. And my buddy calls me. He owns a deli, and he says, I've been trying to get hold of you. I'm busy. I got a big lunch going here. He goes, but Mike and Chris are actually talking about the argument that you and Mike had the night before. So I ring in, and I don't know who the producer was at the time, and Chris is in the background, and he goes, well, how do we know it's him? And I said, tell Chris that I was talking about the fact I just moved to Hoboken because he knew somebody there. And he picks up the phone, and you guys were on a break, and he and I went through some things, and I proved it was me. And about 10 guys from work jumped on the outside lights. There was no speaker, no radios on the desk, no internet, and they're all listening with the mute button on, and you and I continue the fight for about 5 minutes. So from there to here, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
You're top of craft. I've loved you and hated you all in the same day. You should take that as a compliment. And whoever is going to replace you, it better be someone that knows how to talk about that garden in the 90s, because half your listeners live there. I should have gotten my mail there. I was there so much. And they better have seen Lawrence Taylor play. Otherwise, a guy like me is switching over. I hope it doesn't happen, but I wish you well, man.
Thanks very much, Bob. Appreciate it very much. And I understand that. You know, listen, you need to have it is important for this audience, and especially in this town, you know, because this is a small town. You know, it is the biggest town in the world. It is a very cosmopolitan city. It is a international city. It is the biggest city in the world. We understand that. The most important city in the world. But it also is a small town when it comes to sports. It really is. It's a small town. And that stuff is important. And you need to have a frame of reference. You know, that's the way it goes. Back after this. Live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. I was watching the third quarter Knicks game last night. I talked to somebody who is in the league. And I said, they were down so big. I said, 44-point loss in the last game, down 30 points in this game, wound up losing by 37. I said, if they don't fire him now, they're never going to fire him. Well, they just fired him. So Fizdale has been fired by the Knicks. We don't have a coach yet, right? We don't have an interim coach. But Fizdale has been fired. Now, here's the deal. All right, Fizdale's gone. Fine. Who they bring in means nothing unless you're going to get some players. What's the difference? Listen, I'm not saying you couldn't squeeze more out of this team than Fizdale was, because Fizdale was not getting anything out of this team. This team was not playing hard for him. Now, it's funny, I watched the Celtic game the other night, and they played as hard as they could for 3 quarters. They played defense, they passed the ball, they moved the ball, they scored the ball, and then typical in the last 6 minutes, they were awful, and they lost by 9 points. That's the typical Knicks. They could do that. When they have their good nights, that's what happens. They played well for 3 quarters and lose in the fourth quarter. They always lose it in the fourth quarter. They always get badly outscored in the fourth quarter. And then they got a night last night with the Nuggets, who had lost to the Lakers, and I thought played badly down the stretch of that Laker game. I thought I was really disappointed with how the Nuggets played that night, because I watched that game. And listen, I understand it's LeBron, and, you know, he's still LeBron. But I thought Jokic was off his game. Matter of fact, Jokic was having a terrible season. He really is. His scoring's down 5 points. His shooting percentages are down unbelievably across the board. He is not playing well. They have a good team. They have a legitimately good team, but he is not playing well. And he played great last year. He has not played well so far, but that's not the story right now. The story right now is the Knicks, who last night got beat 129-92 in their building. And you know what? You can't have a building where you're going to get beat by 37 points at home. I mean, and you're down the whole game. You're down big at half. You're down big after 3. You're down big after 4. I mean, it just gets bigger along the way. It goes on and on. You gave up 67 points in the first half. You give up 129 for the game. You can't crack 100. I mean, it was as ugly as it gets. They got outscored by 81 points in their last 2 games. So Fizdale walks the plank. Again, that doesn't matter. You know what? It's a headline for 10 minutes. Who cares? All right, it didn't work out. He didn't do the job. But it isn't about him. It's about the team. They have to clean house and start over. That's all there is to it. And they got to get somebody in there who can run the franchise. They don't have that. It has to start there. They are 4-18. They are utterly dreadful. They've won one of the last 10 games. They are just putrid. And again, they might get a short-term bounce from somebody for a couple of games, but they're not winning. They're not going anywhere or winning any games with that group of players. But he now gets fired. We'll let you know as soon as they give us who the interim coach is. We don't have that yet. TC in Manhattan. What's up, TC?
Hey, man. How you doing? I just wanted to call in and thank you. I'm 50. I'll be 51 in a month. I graduated high school at St. Paul, Long Island, 1987. I have been there.
Dog school. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, which school?
Dog went there.
No, not the one in Garden City. Did he go to the boarding school up in...
No, he went to one in Garden City for a while, and then he didn't graduate from there, but he went there before he went to boarding school. Yeah, he went to school there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he did.
The Star Wars bar. I graduated in 1987.
He didn't graduate from there, though. He went upstate for his last couple of years, but he did go there, yes.
Classic. Well, listen, I've been here on board the whole way, and I just... I'm so thrilled that I got on it today.
Well, thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
Really, really just wanted to thank you. And I'm a fan of many teams, but I lead with the Jets. They've always been my team. I was born into a huge family, season tickets forever. And I always thought, there were days where you would pound them so hard,
yeah.
I'd have to stop listening. I'd literally have to oh my God, I can't listen to Mike all week. And but I would always say to friends, I'd be like, God, Mike must know that when he goes on the Jets, it incites us so much that we call in, go crazy. It must make for great radio. Would you say that pounding on the Jets is a sure way to get your show rolling, or how do you view that kind of thing? 'Cause it was great. And leaving it at that, Mike, thanks for everything.
Thank you. I mean, there's a couple that you really could really... Now, pounding on the Giants has become a new thing for me. I mean, that's not something I'm used to doing. The Jets and the Mets took most of my wrath through the years. And I've always had a bad relationship. Not a bad relationship. It's funny. Woody and I don't get along. But I always had a decent relationship with the Jets. I always got along with Mr. T very well. I got along with Rex well. I got along with McCagnon. I don't know these guys. I don't know Douglas, and I don't know Gaze at all. But the Johnsons, I don't have any relationship with. The Giants I always had a great relationship with, but I don't have any relationship with Gettleman. And really, I don't think Sherman's a bad guy. I just think he's a bad coach. And frankly, I'm going to tell you honestly, I'm going to tell you any other way. They might get another year, Gettleman and Sherman, but I think if they do, it's just going to set you back another year. I do not think they will ever develop under Gettleman or Sherman. And not one or the other, both. I'm not a Gettleman guy. I don't think he's any good. I don't think he will lead you to anywhere. I don't think he will. And now, as far as Joe Douglas, I don't know anything about him. I mean, he's got a decent reputation. I know somebody who worked with him in the league who speaks highly of him. They say he's a real solid football guy. I don't know him very well. I've only interviewed him once. Like I said, Gaze I don't know very well. I don't have a lot of faith in... I had more faith in Gaze in Miami than I do here. I saw a couple of glimmers of good stuff in Miami, and then here I've seen some things I just don't like. I really don't. So he worries me. He's got more coaching ability than Sherman does, but he still worries me. Very quirky, and I don't trust him. Douglas, like I said, I don't know about. I got to see his work. I don't know. Gettleman, I think, is going nowhere. Nowhere. I think he's got the wrong tone. I think how he runs it the way he does, and he doesn't deal with the public and the fans, is wrong. I think he is the worst thing that's happened to the Giants in a long time. Bob in Milford, what's up, Bob?
Yeah, Mike, I was 21 in 1987, and I didn't think sports radio as an avid sports fan could last 32 days, let alone 32 years. Hey, my favorite part of the show has always been your interviews and your guests. And my favorite guest was always Yogi Berra and Moose Skowron, even though they're way ahead of my time. And my favorite interview was always George Young. Who were yours?
George Young is right there. And I'll tell you, Moose and Hank were the best together. They were, first of all, they're the two nicest men in the world. I mean, you couldn't find two guys who were tougher. I mean, Hank Bauer was a Marine. Moose was, a running back at Purdue before he was, a Yankee first baseman. These guys were chiseled, and they were the nicest guys in the world and the best storytellers. I mean, when they'd sit down with Dog and I, they were the best. I loved Moose. Every year we would talk to Moose and Hank together, and they were always together. And they would tell the stories, and you'd hear Moose tell the story about how they're going to get together and go out to dinner with Joe and Marilyn, and Moose is like shaved for the third time with dinner and stuff. I mean, and just to have him tell a story. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Moose was I loved Moose Garrett. You could not. If you met Moose Garrett, you could not love him. It's impossible. He was like the nicest guy in the world. And boy, was he! I saw him actually play. He was a heck of a hitter. Greg in Westchester, what's up, Greg?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Good. What's happening?
Listen, I was just calling in to thank you for all the years. I'm a 1986 high school graduate, 90 college graduate, and pretty much have always commuted 30 years now, and pretty much always counted on you for the drive time. So, I can't tell you how many miles I've done with you and or Chris on the radio. And as a matter of fact, I distinctly remember Joe Franklin signing off and thinking to myself as a young guy, like, who am I going to listen to now? And then before I knew it, it was you guys. So it's always been entertaining. And I just wanted to say also, where is Rick Pitino, and why can't they just put him as the czar of all things basketball for the Knicks?
They could do a lot worse. I don't think they would. At this point, I'll tell you, it's funny you say that. Rick Pitino's dying to coach somebody. He would put a real life. That's actually not a bad decision. That's really not a bad idea. I mean, Rick, the call is right. I mean, not that we've ever thought, but I don't know that they'd hire Rick Pitino at this point. I don't think they would. But if they turn around and hire Rick Pitino right now to coach the Knicks, he would turn the Knicks, he'd get every ounce out of those players. He really would, because the guy is he's just a coach. He's just a great coach. And he would train them, and he would care so much that they would play hard every game, and they'd win some games. I mean, they should do something like that, but they won't. They won't. They'll put a caretaker in there until they're ready, And, today is, as in the last show, the only person who's been with me the entire time is this guy over here next to me on the right. He's the only guy who's been with me every step of the way, from the first day to the last. A lot of guys have been there part of the time. Dog was there for 20 years. Usla's been there as my other update guy for over 20 years, more than 20. But this guy has been there from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, he was actually, the day I walked in the station, he was there before me, because he was actually here before the station even opened. So he was here from the very beginning and was part of this show. And I've always, and he knows this, he's always considered, whatever victories I've had, he's always considered it part of his deal, too. So he's part of the team. So he's the other part of the team that has been there from the beginning, Mink. So we had a good run, Mink. You know that?
Yeah. And you know what? And I was thinking the other day, and I remember working a Thanksgiving, the first one, and I started at 1:30 in the afternoon. So I must have worked with you.
You probably did that day. You've been with me every day. Listen,
I was there for the first shift.
You've been with us.
Did.
You've been our update guy, our main update guy on this show every day that it's been in existence. For over 30 years, you've been with us. Now, you've gone off and done a couple different things at different times, but you've always been our main update guy for all 30 years. So
outside interest.
That's it. Amongst other things that he does, but also, and then every once in a while he's into some foray doing something. But for the most part, his main job has been, and then Mink takes this very seriously. He thinks this is, part of his show, and he's right. It is. So, and everything that I've been given through the years, any part of it, he knows that he's part of it's his, so he understands that. Here's the Mink Man.
It's Football Friday, and we'll be talking up all of this weekend's big matchups, including 49ers Saints, Ravens Bills, and Chiefs Patriots, plus preview the Jets Dolphins and Giants Eagles games. And coming up tomorrow, it's a big college football championship Saturday doubleheader on the Fan, beginning at 3:30 with the SEC title game as LSU meets Georgia, followed by the Big Ten championship game as Ohio State takes on Wisconsin. So keep your radio, mobile phone, smart speakers, and even your computer locked into your flagship station for NFL football and the best games in town. Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66, WFAN and WFAN FM, New York, a radio.com sports station.
WFAN Sports
And this report powered by Bet America, America's Sportsbook. 44-point loss in Milwaukee Monday night, a game in which the Knicks trailed 47 at one point. Last night it was a 37-point loss to Denver, a game in which they trailed 43. Knicks have dropped 8 straight as they ready for the Pacers tomorrow night, and they'll have a different coach. The Knicks fired Coach David Fizdale today. Nets have won 6 of 8. They're in Charlotte against the Hornets. It's on the Fan, 6:50 pre. Rangers and Canadians tonight in the Garden, and Rangers 3 points back of the Penguins for the second wild card slot in the East. Starting play today, Rangers a game in hand with 22 points. The Devils have the second fewest points in the NHL. They'll skid against the Blackhawks at Prudential Center. Devils hockey on the radio.com app at 7. No practice again for Jet running back Le'Veon Bell to illness. Head coach Adam Gase says he'll know more tomorrow. Whether or not he can play against the Dolphins Sunday at MetLife is a question mark right now. Get some LED Christmas lights for this holiday season and the next. They use significantly less energy than regular bulbs and last far longer. All starts with one thing. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing? 48 degrees, showers, and that's what's happening. This is John Minko on Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Listen to the Fan anytime, anywhere. Download the radio.com app. Favorite us today. And if you have a smart speaker, just say play WFAN.
On. He's ready to go on the Fan, New York Sports Radio. Mike's on. Mike's on.
All right, a little after 4 on this Football Friday. We're coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. So the Knicks, I mean, I never felt, less of a change than them firing their coach. Because really, what difference does it make? Let's be honest. What's going to happen? What, you're going to put an interim in there and that's going to make a difference? Most of these guys know they're going to be gone. The guys who are on expiring contracts are going to be gone in a couple of months, so they're not going to work up a sweat. I mean, that roster, what are you going to do with it? You would have to bring in a coach who would demand pull. That's why it's funny. The caller brought up Patino. Patino would actually demand. He would demand they play. He would actually demand that they work, that they run, that they play hard. He wouldn't play them otherwise. He played the 12th guy. He wouldn't care. He would play anybody. He wouldn't care, but he would instill a passion in them because that's who he is. But they wouldn't do that. But that's what they should do. I mean, really. He'd come in, he'd have him pressing, he'd have him running, he'd have him throwing. They'd at least have some fun. Rich joins us. What's up, Rich?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Good, what's happening?
I just want to say that you have been with me for most of my adult life. Used to call you from New Jersey, used to party with you at Bar A, and I just want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and thank you for 30 years of intelligent sports conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of people showed up at those Bar A's, that's for sure. I mean, that was always a very big outing, no question. John in Rockland, what's up, John?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
What's happening?
I just wanted to start out with, I have a question, but I want to start saying I've only been listening to you for about maybe the last year, but I really enjoyed it. You made the commute a lot better.
Thanks very much.
I always like the way you interview people. You really got a lot out of them. It was always a good interview. But I have a question.
Yes.
2 quick questions. One, do you think the Yankees could sign 2 top-tier pitchers? And the second one, is there any truth to that rumor today about Andahar and Voigt going for Josh Bell of the Pirates? Good luck, Mike.
Don't know if that. I do think Andahar is going to be traded. I think a lot of teams want him There's already been a couple of trades rumored. I don't have any knowledge that one is far down the line. I've heard a couple of different trades for Andujar. I do think Andujar is going to be traded, though. I think there's not any room at the inn for him. He's not a good fielder. Scheller became a guy who's a regular player. They can get something for Miggy. The guy's a big-time bat. Now, he doesn't fit as well. You got to be careful if you're bringing him into a National League team, because you have to convince yourself first that he is a proven third baseman every day. Because his defense is very, very shaky, and that has to be taken into account. Has to be. He'd be much better off in an American League team. The other trade with him that had been mentioned was the Rangers. That would make a lot of sense because he needs a DH. He really does. Charlie in Monmouth, what's up, Charlie?
Hey, Mike, I just wanted to say thank you for everything, particularly the horse racing features, because
you can listen at Monmouth. Just go down and on weekends or even during the week, go listen to Brad. He's there every day, and you got the best guy.
I actually talked to him about it.
Yeah, you got the best guy in the business right there every day. Brad's there. He's home bases Monmouth. He does all their handicapping, and he is the best thoroughbred handicapper in the country.
Yeah, he's good to talk to. I've talked to him.
Yeah, he's the best. No, Brad's the best. He's not even one of the best. He's the best. And the best thing about him is he doesn't pick long shot. He doesn't pick favorites. Do
you ever get down to Monmouth?
Very rare. I don't. The reason why is, first of all, I don't run that many horses there. Secondly, I never win at Monmouth. It's been, it's unbelievable. I'm a good handicapper. I can't win at Monmouth. Whatever I do at Monmouth, it loses. I cannot win there, and I don't go there many times. I've been there probably in person about 10 times in my life, and I don't think I ever had a winning day. A couple times I brought horses down for stakes. Every time I brought a horse there to run, it lost. I had the favorite in 2 stakes and lost. I never win a race at Monmouth, and I never. And I like the track. The people of the night. I know Kalina. I know very well. I know the people in the PR department very well. Very nice people. Very hospitable people. Everybody. And it's a beautifully clean, maintained track. It's a great little track. It's beautiful. It's scenic. You could eat off the floor there. It's perfectly clean. They keep the place immaculate. They do a great job. But I just never win there. I can't. It's unbelievable. I just never win there. So I don't go there that much. I leave it to Mons because I need to go to Belmont and Saratoga where I can win. I can't win. I just can't win there. I really can't.
What's the name of your stable?
JEH Racing LLC, which is Jack Emily Harrison. It's named after my kids. It's their initials. My stable is JEH, and a lot of things you'll see now is you will see LRE Racing and JEH Racing together as partners, and that is Lee Einslider, the Casamigos guy. He and I own horses together, and we've done very well together. As a matter of fact, this year we had 13 starts together, and we won 5 races, 3 seconds and 3 thirds. Now, they were in the money 11 times in 13 races and 5 wins, including a couple of stakes. That's a heck of a deal. And we have 4 new horses this year. And as a matter of fact, Patino is a partner on 2 of our yearlings. He came in as a partner on 2 of our yearlings. So we have 4 babies this year, all with Bill Mott. Matter of fact, we have a couple of horses down at Kinsman Stud, which is Steinbrenner's own. We have 4 new babies that'll be 2-year-olds this year. And we have a 2-year-old that just broke his maiden the other day named Secret Rules, whose next race will be in a stake, might be the Swale at Gulfstream on January 2nd. Really nice sprinter. He's a sprinter. He's a nice, talented colt. Really is. I think he's got a really bright future. And then we have Casa Creed, who has already won a Grade 2. So he'll debut in the Grade 1 next May, and then on the turf. And then we have No Lime, who's a hard-hitting New York bred, who won first time out for us. And he's a turf horse on the New York bred, but not a star, but a turf, hard-knocking horse. And then we have 4 new ones that we had this year that we have partnerships with. Lee and I have partnerships in all 4 of them, and Patino came in on a couple of them with us. So he's a partner of ours on a couple of the horses this year, too. So he'll be with us this year. And he's been very lucky with the horses through the years, Patino. So I don't have the names yet because we haven't finished all the names yet. So I'll give them to you before they run. But they're not going to run till the spring anyway. They're babies. But Secret Rules just ran last Saturday and won. Broke his maiden and is going to run in a stake. I think what I'm hearing is we're going to run him in the Swale stake on May. Mott makes the final decision, but I think we'll run in the Swale stake on down at Gulfstream on the 2nd of January. But he's not on the Derby Trail. He's a 3-year-old, but he's not a distance horse. He's gonna, he couldn't get more than a mile. He might get up to a mile. He could definitely get 7 furlongs. But he's not a classic Disney horse. I'll tell you, Bill Parcells he had a couple this year. He had 2 this year that could have been serious horses for next year on the Derby Trail. 3 Technique and Winaki, both of his, I mean, they could be on the trail. They really could. Those 2 are talented enough to be on the trail this year, coming up as 2-year-olds. They were impressive 2-year-olds, especially 3 Technique. So he might have one. Anthony and Syosset, what's up, Anthony?
How are you, Mike?
What's happening?
Just like all the other callers are saying, Mike, thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. I thank the audience. Well, listen, without you guys, I would never have had this run. So, without the fans, it doesn't work. Without the listeners, it does not work. So I understand that. But thank you all. But what's up?
To me and to us, Mike, you're a legend. You built the station. You made it what it is. I know you say Imus did, but to the sports fans, you did. And I'm looking forward to listening to you in your new spot. But at the same time, as a fan of the station, legends can't be replaced. Mike Francesa can't be replaced. Mike and the Mad Dog can't be replaced. I do think that there is a show that could give the station a good run. I think it needs to be sports. You need to stick to sports. You need someone who's young, passionate, knowledgeable. And just like you and Chris, you need conflict. I think Evan and JJ having different rooting interests, both being passionate, both being knowledgeable, and both having a good base would be a show that I think they could give a shot. So my question to you is, have they come up with a replacement? And if not, if you had to replace you, how would you do it? Thank you, Mike, and God bless.
Thank you. They have, if they have, they haven't told me. And I don't expect them to. So I don't expect to be involved, and I shouldn't be involved. So I don't know. I don't ask on purpose. So I keep out of that because, I don't have any say in it, nor should I. And if they've made any decisions, they haven't told me. So I don't know who it is. I think the logical show is obviously Joe and Evan because they've paid their dues and, are deserving a shot. Now, I don't know what their schedule is. I don't know what they want to do. I don't know if Joe wants to work in the afternoon this late in his career. I know that he's not planning to be around forever. He wants to go to Florida and play golf. I think Evan obviously is a logical choice to be involved. I think that's pretty logical. And I agree with you about the idea of what JJ and Evan would present if Joe doesn't. Now, Joe deserves first crack. I think that's fair if that's, and that's pretty logical. But if he doesn't want to, for whatever reason, I think he and Evan and JJ make some sense. I agree with you about the conflict part. I agree with you about the chemistry is something you don't know if a tandem has until they're there. They either do or they don't. You can think it, and you hope you're right. You don't know until you put them together whether A, they have it, or B, can they develop it. It's a little bit of both. I mean, you have to work. There has to be a chemistry there that's innate, but you also have to work at the two-man game. You have to understand there is some things that you have to get used to and work in the two-man game. One of them is interviewing, because you have to understand that you have to figure out what the rhythm of the two-person interview is. Because part of my style of interview has always been that I might ask a question to set up the next question. And especially if it's an interview that's a newsmaker where there's some story going on, I might ask one question that's going to set up 2 or 3 questions. So you want to be able to ask more than one in a row. And Dog and I would always do that. We would allow the other person to go a couple in a row rather than go one question, back and forth. So you have to build a cadence. That is the hardest thing to get used to in a two-man show. The thing that made Mike and the Mad Dog unique was that we were both very defiant individual performers who always believed that we were better solo. And we carried that belief into the show, which made for a chemistry and an intensity that was always there. And the interesting part of that is, if you know, we were a very different two-man show for a couple of reasons. Number one, most two-man shows, they're on together, they're off together. We never took off at the same time. One of us was always here. One of us took off, one of us was alone, and we both liked working alone. Plus, we each kept our individual weekend shows the entire time. He always had Saturday morning, I always had Sunday morning. So we always had our own shows through all the years. So that we always still kept our individual edge. We weren't just a team. Some teams are just a team. They only work together. They never work apart, and they never work with anybody else. We never worked with anybody else. We only worked as solo acts when we weren't there. They never put somebody in with either. They never, ever. That would have been blasphemous. Through all the years, they never put anybody in with either of us for 20 years. They didn't say, oh, Dog's out, put someone in with Mike, or Mike's out, put someone in with Dog. They never did that. The other person always worked by himself. Even if it was weeks at a time, by himself. So there was never another person entered into the discussion or into the mix, ever. So that there were some unique things about it. And the most ironic thing about Mike and the Mad Dog, which is, you know, considered the show that changed the way sports talk was done in this country and created the multiple person show. Most shows in the old days were at night, one person, a guy with a bell. I still know whose bell this is. This is like Pete Franklin used to have the bell. Okay? You know? I told you, I remember the time Pete Franklin had the bell and Dog rang it when he was doing a show, and Pete told him if he rang it again, he's going to stick the bell somewhere. I mean, he was that mad that he rang his bell. But, you know, gimmicks, bells, whatever, you know, sound effects, whatever. That was the old sports talk. Well, we changed that with the two-man show. But since we both have been apart for now a decade or 12 years, neither one of us has ever worked with a partner, which shows what I'm talking about. We've both been individuals now and working solo for 12 years. And successfully. So, I mean, it just shows you we both knew we could work alone, which we clearly both have. So I do agree with you, though, that you look for a show that creates some natural, and the word is not natural and instinctive conflict. Not generated conflict, natural conflict. That's the key. Back after this. All right, here we go. Let's see. Ed in Port Jefferson. What's up, Ed?
Yeah, hey, Mike. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Just wanted to wish you all the best. You know, you've been a big part of my life for over 30 years, and I said goodbye to you and Dog a bunch of years ago, and, you know, just a big fan, and you changed everything in the way we listen to sports radio, and just wishing you all the best, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it very much. Mike in Long Island. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Mike. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you.
Just like everybody else, best of luck in your future. Good health. God bless you and your family.
Yep.
Some of the best memories I had of you is especially with you and Dog. I remember working with my father growing up. I used to love the tears that came out of his eyes when Dog would go on his rant and you could not control yourself with laughter. It was some of the must-see TV and must-talk, listen radio that you can get. It was classic. I have 3 kids myself, so I appreciate the fact of, why it's time for you to move on. They grow up fast. You don't want to miss a lot of it. I got my 10-year-old daughter right now.
Yeah. I have to play chauffeur.
I know. I get my 10-year-old. She's big with club sports.
Yeah, we've got to play chauffeur. Yeah, you play. That's what you do now. You play chauffeur. That's the role.
I got 2 questions, 2 opinion questions. One last time for you. One on the Mets. With the new ownership, I want to know if you think that a major culture change is going to take place.
Yes.
If you see good things.
Yes.
And I know you're a big movie critic. I know you love good film and good TV. I want to know what you thought about The Irishman.
I thought The Irishman. I thought The Irishman overall was good. I have a couple of nitpicks, and like I said, I have a problem nitpicking Scorsese. Okay, but and there's some superb performances. Pesci's performance is so good, it's scary. All right, and it's so understated. That's what's so good about it, because he always played the head stomping, mobster. 2 things that I questioned. One, after it happens, okay, and I don't want to ruin the movie for anybody, but obviously people understand what the movie's about, okay? After the execution, I understand part of the premise is to explain where the urban legend came from. The idea of not knowing what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. The old, he's buried here, he's in the end zone of Giant Stadium, he's here, he's there, that kind of thing. But to me, it just took he could have done that, I think, in a quicker way, rather than spend a half hour with him in the old folks' home. So I understand the idea that he was the keeper of the secret, and he was going to take the secret to the grave. So I understand that. He just did it in a very long, drawn-out way. And I'm probably missing some nuances that he thinks he gave you, which is why he's Scorsese and I'm not. Number 2, and I know they fought with this one because I watched the round table, and if you have Netflix, which I'm sure most of you watch this on Netflix, they had a thing with Pacino, De Niro, Scorsese, and Pesci, and they fought over the idea of whether whether they should use the computer to create the younger version of the De Niro character or use a younger actor. I would have gone the younger actor. Now, I know maybe De Niro felt the younger actor might have taken away from his role, because if you go back to The Godfather 2, De Niro stole it as the young Vito Corleone. But I didn't like what they did with that. I did not think that worked. So from that standpoint, plus I was fascinated to learn in that give and take that Pacino in all these years had never worked for Scorsese. Amazing, huh? You would never have thought that. But I liked it. And the movie coming up that I had a role in, the Uncut Gems, has gotten unbelievable reviews. And it opens in New York. It opens in New York on the week of the 15th. It opens everywhere in the country the week of the 20th, on Christmas Day. It opens in New York before that, the week before that. Go see it. Not a movie for kids, but go see it. And the acclaim for the movie has been superb. With the first pick in the plumbing and heating supply draft, contractor supply, select supplyhouse.com. With next day delivery, speed, and total inventory coverage, supplyhouse.com does it all. Stop wasting your time and money. Supplyhouse.com, your online supplier from plumbing, heating, and HVAC. Take it to the house. Supplyhouse.com. Mike in Plainview, New Jersey. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Mike. It's a real honor to be on with you. I was hoping to get in a real quick story, but first, you were talking about Mike and the Mad Dog before. Mm-hmm. I was young enough when you guys split up that it messed me up, but it felt strange because I'd listened to you so much. Now I'm a Jets and Mets fan. When you guys got together and did that hour at Yankee Stadium, the first time you reunited, I was so happy to see you guys laughing and getting along, and you clearly didn't hate each other or anything like
We
that.
never hated each other. I mean, it was really.
No, I didn't think so.
And we never did.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't true. Now, listen, people don't understand. It's very hard to work together for 20 years. It's just it's very hard because it just is, because you have to agree. When you have something as successful as we had, it's like it's its own living thing. And you have decisions where you don't always agree, and you have to make a decision one way or the other. And a lot of times it creates conflicts because you might not agree on the decision about which way you're going with something. And somebody has to say no to somebody. So that it makes it tough. So after 20 years, he felt it was time to go do something else, which I completely had no problem with. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of things that went on there that weren't pretty, but that was only confusion that didn't need to be that way. It wasn't really created by him, so it really didn't matter. But we've never had an argument off the air, or we had arguments in those days, but we never had anything since we've been split apart. I mean, we don't see that much of each other, and we go through periods where we talk, don't talk. But lately we haven't talked much. But hey, it is what it is. We always got along fine. We really did.
Okay. That's good. No, yeah, I thought you did. It meant a lot to me. If I can get her a real quick story, there was one time we were driving back from Vermont. I was like 13, and the Piazza Clemens thing had run back up, and that was the only topic on the show that day. So for 6 hours, it was that. And my mother, who likes you guys, was getting exasperated. How can they only talk about this? So we were laughing at her the whole time. We finally get back home. She says, good, that's all done. I say, Mom, I got something to show you on TV. The Mike and the Mad Dog Yes show had just started. I thought she was going to kill me when I put that back on.
Yeah, you can always watch it the same day, and at night watch the same thing over again. Absolutely true. Dog, I think, if I remember right, I might be wrong, but I think he was sitting next to me that night when that Clemens thing happened at the stadium. I was sitting in the third row. I think he was sitting next to me. I'm pretty sure. It happened right in front of me. Drew in Trenton, New Jersey. What's up, Drew?
Oh, hey, Mike. How are you?
What's happening?
Two things. Number one, or three things, actually. Thanks for the years. It's been great. I've been listening to you since the beginning and enjoyed it all the way through. I thought Pesci was amazing.
He was great.
He really was.
Yeah, he was great.
Like you said, he played a different character.
He did, because he's always been the head-stomping guy. That's why. So he was the understated guy who killed you with a look now. That was his thing, you know?
Yeah, I really liked his performance. As far as the Knicks go, I mean, I don't know what else there's to say, but you have to completely clean house. You can't have Mills and Perry there making trades. Now that
I agree.
I mean, I don't want them making any more moves moving forwards, but I think, I probably speak for most Knicks fans that the only way we're going to be happy is if you clean house.
Listen, I totally agree, but they got to get somebody in to run it. See, everybody thought when they got Phil Jackson that would be it. I mean, everybody thought that was it. They would move on to new days, and that would be it. But Phil basically did nothing. He really did. He set them back a long way. And it also left a bitter taste, I think, in all those people's mouths, because they gave Phil everything, and he did a terrible job. I mean, a terrible job. Ken in Bronx. What's up, Ken?
Mike, good evening.
What's up, Ken? How are you?
Nice. I'm good. Nice talking to you for the last time. You know what? It's up in the right time. I'm moving to Florida next year.
Where are you going?
I'm going to my mom lives in Olmsted, down in Dade County. Olmsted, down in the country, close to the Key West. We go fishing all the time.
Very nice. Very nice.
But let me say something to you. You and Chris was a great show. But I'm telling you the honest truth. I think I get more out of you since you've been by yourself. I'm not gonna lie to you. I used to love you and Dog, but I get more out of you since you've been by yourself. To be honest, let me say one thing about the Knicks.
Yes.
When I came here in 1994 from Florida, I used to live there before with my mom, and I moved to New York.
Right.
All my friends was Knicks fan, and I remember when the Knicks was good, the Knicks was must see. It doesn't matter what you have planned. When the Knicks is playing, it doesn't matter who they're playing. The Knicks was must see TV, and it pains me. I don't even watch Knicks no more because it's nothing there to watch. I'm gonna be honest. And then the coach get a raw deal because they have no talent. Besides the kid that they draw from Barrett, which is my last name also, They have no talent, and he get a raw. You know, people talk about him like he's a bum, and it bothers me. To be honest, it do bother me. One more thing I want to ask you. You ever heard about the Johnny Walker tournament that used to keep in Jamaica?
Right.
The golf tournament?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I live close. My family is close somewhere that he used to keep this hotel named Trial Hotel down in Jamaica. The Johnny Walker tournament used to be every year down there. So I never heard it. I never hear you talk about it. That's why I asked you about it. Anyway, Mike, I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
To hear you. And I hope to meet you one day. I would like to meet you one day because you're the best. To be honest, I learn a lot on this station, but you are the best. Nobody like you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate it.
Take care, Mike.
Thank you, and take care. Okay? Thanks very much. Ken in Babylon. What's up, Ken?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good. What's happening?
I just wanted to call in one last time and, say thank you for all the years. You've been in my car and in my ears for 30 years, and the last retirement you had kind of gave us a window to what it's like not having you every day, and it's not that great. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, listen, I appreciate it very much. I really do, and I thank you and everybody else for the many, many years. Rick in Florida. What's up, Rick?
Mike, how are you? Again, thanks. I want to really thank you for coming back these last couple of years because it was a little treat to have you on for a couple more years, and going to miss your Yankee bias because without you, we on the fan, there's not as much of a Yankee push as what you had. So I'm going to be missing that quite a bit. Plus all the, like you were saying, with the movies and everything, and with the horses. So that's going to be a blank there for a little while. But one quick question I have to ask you about Eli.
Okay.
And next year, well, he's obviously, since he's playing Monday, he'll be out there on the field again. And next year, you think will he be with another team? Will he be with the Giants, or do you think he'll be retired? What's your thoughts on that?
I think he'll be retired, and I hope he'll be retired. I think he's had a great career. I don't think he'll be on the Giants under any circumstances. I don't think he will go to a team as a backup, but, I guess he could go to a team that offers him a chance to play. See, here's the thing. I think at this stage, it would only make sense for Eli to be on a really good team. And I don't think a really good team is going to get him. So I don't think there's availability of quarterback on a really good team. On a really bad team, I don't think you want to be at that point now if you're Eli and get beat up behind a bad offensive line. If he could go to a place where they had a really good offensive line with a chance to win, I think it'd be fun. To go to a place where he's going to get beat up or lose all the time, he's already done that. He's done that for the last 5 or 6 years. He doesn't need to do that anymore. Eli didn't lose. He never had a losing season his first 8 years. First 8 full seasons, he had no losing years. Now all he's known is losing. That's why his record in the regular season is now 500. It's not 500 for his career because of the postseason, but it's 500, for the regular season at the moment. Mike in Floral Park. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Mike, first let me just say what a great guy Mons has been on your show. See, he's such a gentleman. I would call him up sometimes just to speak with him. And
you can keep doing that. You can keep calling Mons all the time. Mons will run his own show from back there. Who knows? Maybe Mons will get the show.
He's my Wally Backman. He should get a show over there.
I'm telling you, maybe he'll get the show. You never know. Yeah,
he should, because the guy's got talent. Nobody else over there after you go has the talent. So let me just say one thing about you and Dog. You guys always reminded me a little bit of Lennon and McCartney. You guys never trusted how great you were together. You had to prove how great you were apart. We all knew how great you were, and you didn't have to be apart to be great, and you stayed on terrestrial. He went to satellite. You couldn't listen to him on satellite because it's national. I wanted to listen to New York sports, so I chose you. And you guys were great together, and you're great apart, and you didn't have to prove it, Mike.
Well, your point is well taken, and I think in a rare way, I think we did have to prove it to ourselves. So I think you're right. I think that was always trying to get out, that we wanted to prove to everybody that we could be as great apart as we were together. So I think what Mike hit on is true. I think there is a truth to that. And I think there was that burning desire for us to prove we could be as big alone as we were together. I think there is something to that. Steve in Connecticut. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Mike. I'm just really calling. I don't have anything sports for me to talk about. I just want to thank you for being a part of my life growing up. I'm 32, and I remember listening to you in the back of my car with my father, and then now I have my 1-year-old in the back of the car listening to you. So it all kind of comes full circle.
It is full circle. I'll tell you what was full circle for me. I got in the car today, and it's not with Julio, who's working. He's been on assignment for the last year. So my driver that I have all the time with me, and he listens to the news. He listens to WINS, and the top of the newscast was about me leaving. and I'm thinking, when I was a kid, I used to listen to the news on, I turn it on for big news. I turn on WINS, and I turn on the news, and it's me on the news. So it was just kind of weird hearing that as I'm driving in to do my last show, hearing that it's my last show on WINS on the way in. So it was kind of weird, to be honest with you, to be hearing that, that it was that was the story. Joe in Staten Island, what's up, Joe?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? I just wanted to say thank you for all the years. I'm only 25 years old, but I listen to you every day, and I got friends younger than me that listen to you every day. And we just really appreciate the work that you put in for us all these years. And wherever you go next, whatever you do next, I just wanted to wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And
thanks very much.
Thank you for all the years.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. You guys can still ask sports questions today, too. It doesn't have to be about just, me leaving. I mean, I know that's a part of the theme today, and I do appreciate that. But it doesn't have to just be that. We can talk about whatever you want. We don't have to just talk about this stuff. Because I know this is part of the theme. I do understand this is the last show. And to all of you that won't get in today, which the silent majority, which is most, those are the people I want to thank, obviously, for their being there year after year, day after day, for what has been a very long time. The Knick coach, you know who the Knick coach was? Guys, who do you think the Knick coach was when I stepped behind this microphone for the first time in Afternoon Drive?
Hubie Brown?
Stu Jackson.
I was going to say Stu Jackson.
Who do you think the Jet coach was? Take a stab. Joe Walton.
Yeah, I never would have got that one.
Joe Walton. I'll give you some more when we come back.
WFAN and WFAN-FM New York, a radio.com sports station.
What's up? Funny. I just laughed at something. My kid sent me something that was funny. James in Jersey, what's up, James? What's happening?
How you doing today, Mike?
What's happening, James?
I wanted to see who you had as as long as everything goes the way it should, your top 4 teams. I think we could agree on the top 3 in NCAA.
Right now?
Right now. Say everything goes the way it should.
Listen, I think LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson are in win or lose. Win or lose. And that includes Clemson.
You mean to tell me if
Clemson,
loses to Georgia?
Absolutely, they're one of the 4 best teams in the country. It's not even, and Dabo's right, it's not even debatable. They've won 27 games in a row, except for one game against North Carolina where they didn't play hard and they played terribly.
Clemson's amazing.
And Clemson belongs in, and the other 2 clearly belong in. So to me, they're in win or lose. To me, here's what happens though: LSU wins, Ohio State wins, Clemson wins. Utah wins tonight, and I put Utah in as the. Here's my premise, and this is what. Listen, here's the deal, though. Here's why. Hey, those teams are ahead. Utah is ahead of both of them right now. If Utah beats Oregon, which is every bit as good as either Oklahoma or Baylor, if they beat Oregon this evening, then they earned it, and they're already ahead of them. So they shouldn't drop off that, so they should go.
I understand that. No, but I think Baylor beating Oklahoma is a bigger win than
Why?
Than Utah beating Oregon.
Why?
The Pac-12's been off for the past.
But Utah's already ahead of them. Based on if it's ended today. Wait a second. Based on how they vote, they are already ahead of them. Yes, it does. The vote every week. The vote is done as if it's the last vote. They always say that. It's done as if it's the final vote. So right now, Utah is ahead of those teams. They shouldn't fall behind them on a victory over Oregon. That's not fair. Oregon's better than Baylor. They're better than Baylor. If Oregon and Baylor played on a neutral field right now, I think Oregon would beat them. So I would bet on Oregon against Baylor. So to me, if they beat Oregon, and I'm not saying they're going to beat Oregon, but if they beat Oregon, I think they deserve to go. You guys don't like it just because it's Utah. That's all. And my theory on that is this. These teams, like Ohio State, go there, okay? Go there, and they're not as good, just like Utah's not as good. But Oklahoma goes there, and they try to outscore those big teams. You can't do it. Go there and play defense like Utah does. Play defense and special teams and see if it works. Now, here's the one thing that scares me about Utah. Utah's offensive line will probably not hold up against the defenses they're going to see. That's the scary part. Right now, tonight, Utah, which has in its last 8 games, has outscored their opponents by an average of 30 points a game. There was one game this year. They are 6.5 point favorites over Oregon. Baylor is an 8.5 point underdog to Oklahoma. If Utah wins tonight, if Georgia loses to LSU, then the fourth team in it should be Utah. Ira in Staten Island, what's up, Ira?
Hey, Mike, just want to say thank you for all these years. And, I want to get to an NFL question. But one thing about it, you set the bar. And you know what? There's many talented people out there, and in the past, in the future, in the present. But it's going to be really hard to reach that bar that you set.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's very nice. Thank you.
And besides the giant moments, what would you say in your career as in radio and even as a child would be your number one NFL moment best?
As far as a sports moment?
No, NFL. Just specifically NFL. Your best ever NFL moment, taking away the Giants Super Bowls.
Taking away the Giants Super Bowl, the best NFL moment that I've seen in person. At the time, I thought it was the Patriot win over the Rams. With that, but I didn't know the existing. I didn't know the existing stuff behind it. The whole Spygate and everything else that went behind it. But I thought that game was a remarkable achievement because I thought that Ram team was unstoppable. And their ability to come back and do what they did there, I thought that was something really special. Bob in Monticello, what's up, Bob?
Hey, Mike.
What's happening?
I want to say truly, I want to thank the good Lord for making me a Mike Francesa fan. You meant a lot to us over the years.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
For me, a Yankees fan, you've really enhanced the experience. And curious, I'm guessing 90s highlight moment of the years you've been on the radio as a Yankee fan where you just felt like a kid screaming and shouting. What year? What moment for you? And thank you again. It's been.
I thought the best season was 96. Of the recent vintage, I thought that was the best year. I thought the comeback against the Braves, that whole ride that year, they were losing it, if you remember, in September. And Dog was killing them every day. And he kept asking me, "You worried yet?" And I said, "No." I said, "If it gets inside 2 games, I'll get worried." It never got inside 2.5 games. They lost that big lead. They got down to 2.5. And honestly, I was very worried. I didn't want to let on to them, but I thought they were going to blow it. And they got there. They hung on. That was the pink Cadillac, the whole thing. And then all the craziness of what went on that year in the postseason. And then it culminated with that win in Game 6 I always talk about the Girardi Triple being the loudest I ever heard that stadium. That was a great win. That year, that championship was a very special championship. It really was. It was a wonderful championship. Dave in Rockville Center. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
What's happening?
I said goodbye to you the last time, so I'll let that stand. I just, before you go, just really want to quickly talk to you about something important, which is this Houston Astros thing. I have a question and a comment. Did you happen to go back and look at these videos on YouTube about what was going on? Because
no, I never have.
Mike, you have to do it. You know why? Because I was listening to all the sports shows, and listen, it's bad. We know it's bad. But when I went back and watched guys like Altuve, Springer, their eyeballs move to the outfield on every pitch. Mike, it's so impactful. It's like watching...
What do you mean the outfield? But they weren't getting information from the outfield, were they? They were getting information from the dugout, I thought.
No, Mike. There were different scenarios every time. I mean, they had guys in the bullpen. One guy would stand up, one guy would sit down. They had guys on the third base side. It's crazy, Mike. So based on that, I mean, I would ask you to contemplate this question after you go and watch those videos because they're so impactful. I think. What do you think? I'm saying lifetime ban for a guy like A.J. Hinch to preside over something.
Listen, I got to know a couple things about this team first. I got to know. And Aaron Boone and I talked about this today. And it depends who you talk to. Like, Aaron thought that their edge was significant. Other people, not so significant. So it depends what you really believe. But
well, the edge doesn't really matter.
Well, no, the edge doesn't matter as far as the cheating goes. Absolutely not. But we can discuss how big their edge was, but that doesn't matter. When they use surveillance equipment, what I need
Mike, did you see
listen. Forget. Listen, we know the surveillance equipment was used. So
no, but
again, you're missing the point. Okay, I understand the point. The point you're missing that is the most important of all is: did the owner condone this? Did the
owner? What about the manager?
You don't get it.
Mike,
you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it, man. Forget the owner. How can you possibly say forget the owner? The commissioner has to chastise.
Because I believe in personal responsibility of the
really?
players.
Well, you can fire the manager. You can't fire the owner.
Well, the owner is responsible, but punishing the owner is not going to...
Oh, the punishing the owner is going to be where they cripple the franchise. If it's the manager and the owner didn't want... you miss it. You miss it. See, listen, Dave, you got to use your head a little bit. If the owner... Wait a second, Dave, if the manager did it and the owner didn't know, you're not going to cripple the franchise. You're going to fire the manager. If the owner knew, you're going to cripple the franchise. So it makes a huge difference whether the owner knew or not. The owner knew, you kill the franchise. The manager knew, and the owner did not know this went on. You are going to fire the manager. You're going to suspend them from baseball. But you're going to hit the franchise, but you're not going to kill it. If the owner was involved, you're going to cripple the franchise. Because then it's systematic through the entire organization. Then the whole organization is cheating. It's not a manager who set up a way to cheat. And I can tell you this right now. They will not touch the players. The players are not in authority. They could not put this together. They could not have the authority to put it in place. Any player would use it if they had it at their means. You cannot do anything to the players. You can reprimand the coaches. You can fire the manager. You can suspend the manager for a year. You can suspend them for 2 years. You can take away 5 draft picks and fine them millions of dollars. You will not touch the players. The players will not get touched on this. All the players did was take the information that was given to them, and that's what any player would do. So you can't blame the players. They're not in charge. You have to be in a position of authority to take the heat here. Did anybody go after the Patriot players when they were given the information that they knew they had stolen from teams? No. They went after the team. They went after the head coach. They didn't go after the players. The players are going to take the information. They're employees. It's the guys who are in power. But it matters dramatically if the owner knew. Kraft didn't know when it was done in New England. He didn't know. If this guy knew The general manager knew. He's suspended for a year minimum. If the and if he thought, whoever thought of it, if he hatched it, whoever hatched it's going to be really in big trouble. I mean, that's going to be it. But the surveillance cameras, it doesn't matter if they got nothing out of it or a lot out of it. You put cameras in the outfield and use equipment to spy or to use surveillance equipment. You're going to get reprimanded severely. They have no choice. They're going to hit them really hard. And if ownership knew, they're going to take away multiple draft picks and fine them millions of dollars. And I think the manager will get at least a year suspension. Marvin in the Bronx. What's up, Marvin?
Hey, Mike, when I started with you, I was in my 30s and now I'm in my 60s. We were both born the same year, 1954. You were born in March. I was born in August. And now I have 12 grandkids. I had a new grandson last night. He was born last night.
Oh, congratulations.
Hey, thank you. And Mike,
what's his name?
I'm going to say this.
What's his name? What's his name?
Justin. I think it's Jason.
Jason.
I got so many, I lose count of the names.
What number grandkid is this?
This is 12.
12 grandkids?
Got 9 boys and 3 girls.
12 grandkids. How many kids do you have?
2 sets of twins.
How many kids do you have? How many kids do you have?
What? I had 5 kids.
5 kids and 12 grandkids. God bless you. Okay.
Thank you. Mike, I want to say this because, we've had our differences down the years, but I've always respected your intelligence, your insight in sports, and I sent you a gift this morning. I went down to Commerce, Oklahoma, and took a couple pictures of Mano's home.
I remember you said that.
Museum. Yeah, I put it in the mail this morning.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Marvin.
And, I just want to end it saying like this. I spent a lot of years talking to you and listening to you. Unequivocally, my man, you're the best in the business.
Thank you, Marvin, very much.
It has been a pleasure. But my moment with you is after you broke up with Dog, and I called you, and I said, it feels like talking to somebody after they had a divorce, came to a divorce. And but I really can't express how I feel and what you mean to me and how you've got me through some things. But I'll say this. When I spent a year in Iraq and I served the tour in 2004, 2005, a lot of times before we went on missions, we had downtime. And I would say to myself, wow, man, if I was home, I'd be listening to Mike and the Mad Dog. You guys have been a major part of this part of my life. And I really thank God for you. And I wish you the best.
Thank you, Marvin. And congratulations on the 12th grandkid. That's great. That's a great achievement. Great legacy. It really is. Hearing from people today, I just heard from Lee Einstein, my Casamigos guy, who started with us 22 years ago with Grey Goose. That's how we met him. 22 years ago, they brought Grey Goose to be advertised on the Fan, especially on the Mike and the Mad Dog show. And they became a big account for us, Grey Goose. And obviously all the success he had with Grey Goose, he's the one that started Grey Goose. And now with Casamigos, Tequila. So 22 years he's been there with us. That's amazing. Think about that. 22 years. That's incredible. TJ in Brooklyn. What's up, TJ?
Hey, Mike, I just want to thank you. I'm going to be 47 next week, and, I took you from teenage years all through my 20s. You've been a constant great reinforcement, and I think you do a phenomenal job. I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
Moving forward. My moments with you, I can't thank you enough. You and Dog helped get Mike Piazza here as a Mets fan. I'll never forget that. And as a Giant fan, in your heart of hearts, and my late father was a big fan.
Right.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I'm driving down to North Carolina. I'm listening to you on my iPad because I don't want to miss the last day.
Right.
And my father said Dave Gettleman was the worst hire the Giants ever made.
You think he's right?
Yeah. And do you think John Mara will break the cord and go with a guy who has nothing to do with the Giants in the past, like a Louis Riddick or somebody, to move that team forward? Because, Mike, since that last Super Bowl, and more importantly, since that Packer playoff game, we have been a dismal team.
They need to first, and thanks for the call very much.
Thank you.
They really need to get, and I never realized how far they've gone off the path. But they need to get ownership on the same page. You know, there had been times there was talk about Chris Mara, who's a good football man, taking the reins in that organization, but that maybe the Tishers didn't feel that was right to have a guy who was a Mara be the personnel guy or the GM. I can understand that. You know, you worry about that. You worry about how do you get rid of him, nepotism, firing, or anything, even if he's qualified, which I think people realize he is. He's a solid football guy. But I think that's where those little things, those skirmishes, those little things that go back and forth, they got to get past that stuff. And they got to get back to where they're picking get on the right page and pick the right people. And I don't say this out of animosity, because I have no animosity towards Shermer or Gettleman. I hardly know them, to be honest with you. I haven't gotten, they haven't done anything. Gettleman's he did one interview with me the whole time. And after the one time I was critical of me, he didn't come on again. And then he wouldn't come on in the summer. Sherman, we know, left after 2 weeks, which is fine. I don't have any problems with that. And I don't think Sherman's a bad guy. I think he's probably a decent guy. But you're asking me, do I think that tandem is going to lead this team out of this doldrums? I don't think they are. I don't think they're the right guys. I think the Giants need to, and I don't think they want to. I think they're hoping for a reason that they can go another year with these guys and give them another chance. I think they want continuity badly, but I think they need to find the right guy. And I think right now they are in such a delicate spot. They can't be wrong the next time. That they have to make sure it's someone who is as close to a no-brainer as they can get. As close to a no-brainer as they can get. So if that means hiring a coach that has past experience, so be it. If it's Mike McCarthy, who I wouldn't have a problem with. I think they need to they really need to find themselves. I think they've lost their way completely. And I also think I just don't think they're on the same wavelength, the Tishers and the Maras. They got to get back on that. They got to get back to that place. They got to get back to the place where Bob Tisch and Wellington Mara used to live. They can't get back there. All right, they asked me to read this during the show, and I haven't read this copy before, so I'm going to read it right now for the first time. I can see the first line has something to do with me, so I'm just going to read it because they asked me to read it. So I'm doing this blind. I haven't read it before. Now, I can't thank DraftKings enough for their long-time partnership and support, which is very true. They've been great partners. They've been very supportive sponsors, and I do have a personal relationship with DraftKings, so that is true. And ongoing one that will continue past today. I have a personal services deal with DraftKings. And with this being my last program, DraftKings Sportsbook has a special thank you offer to all of you for being part of the program and being with me all these years. To celebrate my final show, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all of you a free $5 bet. That's right. Everyone listening right now, you just head to DraftKings.com/WFN to claim your bet today only. That's it. So right now, any of you listening can call up DraftKings Sportsbook right now and claim a $5 free bet. Okay? Use it on the Giants or maybe on the Jets. DraftKings Sportsbook is so easy to use. You can deposit, place your bets, and withdraw in a matter of seconds. It's no wonder DraftKings Sportsbook is America's top-rated sportsbook app. Head to DraftKings.com/WFN today only, and anybody listening right now will get a free $5 bet. So just go to DraftKings.com/WFN right now, today only, And everybody listening, you get a free $5 bet, plus all new users who sign up and make their first bet will get a risk-free bet up to $500. That's DraftKings.com/WFAN for all new and existing users to claim their free $5 bet. Thank you for listening, and thank you to DraftKings. You must be 21 or older, New Jersey only. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. We thank DraftKings for that. Back after this.
From the 1010 Wins Traffic Center, I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com Fan Highway Patrol. Trouble at the Verrazano. Traffic sponsored by Casper Sleep. Upper level of the Verrazano Staten Island bound. You got some police activity knocking out at least one lane. Stay with the lower westbound Staten Island Expressway. Once you're there, it's a mess. As far as the West Shore inbound, George is fine. There's no great way out of town. Lincoln, 45 either way. Holland, 30 in from the Skyway. Better from the Turnpike. Outbound Holland, going to run you 45 to 60 minutes. BQE backed up both ways over to Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. Award-winning mattresses and bedding are here just in time for the holidays. Visit the Casper Sleep Shop today and give the gift of better sleep. Hurry, because they have amazing deals going on right now. Comfort and joy are right around the corner at the Casper Sleep Shop. I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com Fan Highway Patrol.
Hi, this is Bob Papa. Join me along with Carl Banks and Howard Cross Monday night for Giants football as Big Blue heads down to Philly to take on the Eagles in the first of their two meetings this season. Our coverage gets underway at 6:45 right after a special hot stove baseball show with Sweeney Murdy live at baseball's winter meetings in San Diego here on your flagship station for Giants football. The Fan, Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66, WFAN and WFAN FM, New York.
All right, we're back, and we're coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. As we take you right up until 6:30, so I have an hour left in what has been, I try to calculate how many hours I've been on the air here doing this program. If you took, for the most part, 5 days a week times, say, what's realistic, 44 weeks a year, that's 220 days a year times, most years it was 5.5 hours, but we'll say, call it 5 hours since we cut it back the last 2 years, and then times that by years. Probably somewhere around 50,000 hours. It's a long time. Something crazy amount like that. It's crazy. Chris in Center Reach, what's up, Chris?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Thanks for taking the call.
Thank you. What's happening?
Just really wanted to thank you. So many years, I go way back right to the beginning with you and the dog, and just so many great memories. And I had before you let me go, I had a JFK at the end for you. Mink, you guys, it's just amazing. You're like part of my family. You don't know me, but I feel like I know you. And like that other guy was getting a little choked up with his dad. It's really hard,
It's amazing. Radio does that. I mean, radio, and thank you. I appreciate it, Chris. But radio, it's amazing. People ask me the difference between radio and TV, and I said the difference between radio and TV for the performer is so, first of all, everybody likes having done TV, but everybody loves doing radio. Because TV is not a performance medium. Radio is a performance medium. The performer is in charge on radio completely. The TV, the director, the producer and the director have a lot of say in everything, in timing, format, etc. There's so many things that they have a control over. In radio is so different, but it's also the reaction on the audience, because there's a distance, there's a homogenized level that separates the audience from television. On radio, there's not. You're able, they call it theater of the mind, which it is, but also you're able to go everywhere with the audience, and the audience is able to take you everywhere. There's no way where you can't mobily take the sound of my voice, you know, in your home, into the backyard, on trips, in the car, to the beach, wherever you go. I mean, in every room in the house. I mean, there's nothing that there's, you know, an ability to go everywhere. And there's also this personal connection, which, you know, people have with the people they listen to for a long time. You just do. You get to know them. And, you know, you feel like you do have a connection to that person who you listen to all the time. It's very true. It's very, there's a connective layer there that just never goes away. That does not exist in other forms of media. It really is. It's very personal. Radio, it really is. Ryan and Ramsey, what's up, Ryan?
Mike, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
Great career. So sad to see you go. I got 3 quick ones. The first one is my kids actually sing the intro song every day in the minivan when I pick them up from school, 305. It's hysterical. The second one is I've met you twice, once at the Garden, one when I was a little kid. You couldn't have been a nicer person, and if your family's listening, that's more important than any type of success. You were so kind. The third one is, I've asked you this before, and I love your stories going back to CBS and Musburger and the Greek. Would you ever reconsider doing the book deal? And I'll hang up and listen, and I wish you luck.
I have talked to them. I have talked to people about a book recently, but I would never in the book. Now, in the book, I would tell stories that were complimentary to people or were funny anecdotes. I would never tell something that you know, was gonna hurt somebody, you know, in any way. That's for sure. You know, or in any way disparage somebody or hurt somebody. I'll never do that because to do that to sell a book is just outrageous. Yeah. It's just outrageous. I mean, you know, you're not gonna throw your friends over, you know, for a book. Even though, and also some of the places you went to or you were privy to, you were there. Out of friendship, you were there, you know, that, you know, you understand that what you saw there doesn't, you know, you don't publicize. You don't tell those stories. You know, that's just part of it. You just can't. I mean, so, I wouldn't do that ever. I mean, if I haven't told you a story here, and if I told you a story here, then I would tell it obviously in the book. I mean, so stuff like that and stuff that was funny, I would tell you, or poignant, I would tell you, but I wouldn't tell you anything that was going to hurt anybody ever. I would never do that. Or betray a trust. I would never do that. Frank in Scotch Plains. What's up, Frank?
Hey, Mike. Listen, congratulations.
Thank you.
On an incredible career. You truly are the voice of New York sports. There's no.
Well, thank you.
No,
that's
you should be in the Hall of Fame of broadcasting. But anyway, Mike, I wanted to
I hate to tell you, I already am. So.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, thanks. So congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
So a couple of comments and then a question to get your take. So, you know, the one thing I want to, you know, definitely just give you props on is that you always were from the beginning, a big Eli supporter. And then, you know, given Eli, like half this town or maybe 3/4 of this town wanted Phillip Rivers and they complained about Eli, and that was clearly the book is closed on that. The argument is over. Of course he made the right choice. But the question I have for you is basically it's an NBA question, and it relates to a player that's now and in the past. That's between essentially Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Which way would you go on that one?
What is the question? For one game?
No. Basically, career-wise, who is in your opinion the better player? And the bigger impact on the game.
Jordan is the answer. He's the answer. He's not a better player, but he had more impact. Michael Jordan became a incredible figure in this country. He was incredibly popular. He was a standard of excellence that we have rarely seen. LeBron's had an incredible, incomparable career, but he is not Michael Jordan. He hasn't been as big as Michael Jordan, number one. Number two, LeBron, for all his brilliance, And his game is different than Michael's is. But what Michael has, that LeBron is an incredible competitor, but there's never been anybody that wanted to win more than Jordan. And Jordan had to win. It wasn't that he wanted to win, he had to win. And that came out. There was almost a desperation to it that he had to win. And I think that is very rare. And I think that also is pain. I don't think that's easy to live with. I think that's an incredible drive that, has to be fed. But he had that. He had to win. It wasn't like he, could or couldn't. There was no could or couldn't. He had to. And I think that's a rare feat, or rare to have that in you. Tom in Far Hills, New Jersey. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking the call. Really,
what's happening?
You know that as you started this last segment here, you said 1 hour left, and it really really touched because there's a certain level of deep sadness associated with this last hour. And as the other caller said, you are part of our family, so to speak. I have 7 sons and rabid athletes who grew up listening to you.
You have 7 sons?
7 sons.
Wow.
I have little leaguers to minor leaguer.
Wow.
And it's just, we have a group text where we're constantly talking about stuff that you're talking about. And it just is a great, just unites the fabric of us. And I speak for them and collectively. You're going to be deeply missed, but we know life goes on. And your life goes on, which is even more important in your own family. And so I want to wish you all the best. It's funny, I get in the car with my wife and the little ones in the car, and my wife would say, do we have to listen to this? You listen to them every day. And I answer with just the strict yes.
Yes.
And that was it.
I've had women who come up to me and say, you don't understand, I have to listen to you or you two every day in the car. And I always, say, oh, listen, I apologize. Or I've had women come up to me and say, you don't know how many of us out there listen to you every day. Like I told you, I had a woman stop me on the stairs the other day and tell me, how she was a listener 3 hours every day for 30 years, every day. And she says, I want you to know we're out here and this and that, and I do. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate I send my regards to the women who listen. I send my regards to the women who are forced to listen, okay, because their husband want to listen. The Knicks have named Mike Miller the interim coach. If you remember, Mike Miller, okay, so I think I don't think most basketball fans know Mike Miller. I guess they do. I would think they do, right? I mean, they know Mike Miller, right? I would think. So, but Mike Miller has been named the interim coach. That's just coming over. The Knicks are naming Mike Miller as interim head coach. So, back after this.
From the 1010 Wins Traffic Center, I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com Fan Highway Patrol. Big trouble at the Verrazano. It's getting worse. Traffic sponsored by Northfield Bank. Upper level of the Verrazano Staten Island bound is shut down right now because of police activity. That's why the outbound Gowanus and westbound Belt are terrible getting there. Brooklyn bound upper level, you lose a lane for the police activity as well, so the lower better either way. Inbound George, about 20 to the upper. 15 to the lower, the west side highway, the best way out. Lincoln 30 to 40 either way. Holland 30 in from the Skyway, better from the Turnpike. It's an hour out at the outbound Holland. Northfield Bank wishes you and your family a happy holiday season. Experience the magic of banking locally grown at one of Northfield's 40 branch offices in Brooklyn, Staten Island, and New Jersey. Northfield Bank, member FDIC. I'm Greg Rice with the SupplyHouse.com Fan Highway Patrol.
All right, we're back. Brothers Supply is New York's #1 source for ice hair, P-Tax, water source, heat pumps, and fan coils. Contractors and property managers partner up with Brothers Supply for all of your air conditioning and heating needs. Call today for a quote or visit online at brothersupply.com. Remember, Brothers Supply has it in stock. Now, we've told you many, many times, okay, that through the years, you need that item that you need to kind of get you over Christmas, where you don't know what to send, you don't know where to get it, you don't know what to send, you don't know whether it'll be well received. You don't know if you can get it wrapped, the whole thing. Well, you can do it all in one fell swoop and do it this Christmas with Pajamagrams. That's right. Pajamagrams, you'll get those very special pajamas for that lady in your life. She's going to love those special pajamas. Every Pajamagram includes free gift packaging. So, you don't have to wrap it yourself and it'll look nice. They're also backed to 100% guarantee, so, you risk nothing. Delivery by Christmas is guaranteed because they're in the business of getting it there first time, right time. So get her something special she'll really love and take care of the hardest person to shop for on your holiday list. Here's what you do. It's simple. Go to pajamagram.com. That's pajamagram.com to send those pajamas right now. Okay? Who's on the phone? Nance? All right, we'll welcome in one of my oldest and dearest friends, Jim Nance, who joins us. Jim, welcome. How are you? What game you have this week?
I have Kansas City and New England.
Oh, excuse me. Should be
really a good one.
A very good one. I'm looking forward to that one. It's a very good one. The Pats are they're a little shaky right now. They really are. They got to get that offense going a little bit.
And I've been waiting for this game since the schedule came out, and of course the AFC Championship game was such an epic up and down the field overtime game that I remember walking out of Arrowhead and knowing that, of course, they would be playing at some point in the season. This was going to be the game that we wanted to protect the most.
Absolutely. And, I agree. I think Kansas City, it's a game that if the last week or two, it looks like the Kansas City guys are finally catching on to the Spags defense. If that's true, then they're ready to make their move. And if they make their move tomorrow, they throw their hat in the ring as a team, along with Baltimore and New England, as the third team that can win it all out of the AFC.
Well, I've been with Kansas City a lot recently, including this past Sunday against Oakland. And you can definitely see that defense is starting to figure out what Spags is
and it takes time. It takes time. It took the Giants a long time. It took the Giants a long time.
And they weren't healthy. And I think Frank Clark really wasn't a factor at the first of the year, missed some games. So they definitely seem to me to be peaking right now. And we know that it's been a rough stretch here for the Patriots of late.
Well, nobody knows the Patriots and Tom Brady better than you do, or more closely knows them. So are they very concerned about where they are, or are they feeling like they can figure out their problems?
Well, they always at this time of year kind of figure it out. And what that's going to be, I don't know. But you never say that. I've read all the articles nationally this week. I've seen people talking about it. Have been basically been writing the Patriots obituary all week long. So we'll see. They've already lost to Baltimore and Houston. If they lost in this game to Kansas City, that means they would have lost to the other three division leaders, the teams that are going to win their divisions. But hey, they've been open about it. I mean, Tom hasn't pulled any punches. He's been frustrated with the offense's lack of execution and production all season long. And, the Gronkowski void is huge, and the running game hasn't been going. They average like the 31st in the league on average yards per attempt. The wide receivers are just not running the routes that Tom's used to, the crisp, fast, speedy cuts and everything to be open and create separation. That extra little half a second hasn't been there because the offensive line has been battered. They got Isaiah Wynn back a couple of games ago, but he's not, to me, all the way back yet. So we'll see. It's going to be a great game, and maybe it's one we'll see again just a month later again.
Hey, if you check Edelman and White, they don't have anywhere to go with the ball, and you have to make sure you do both. You can't check one of them. You got to check both of them out of the backfield. I mean, him out of the backfield and Edelman wherever they line him up. You got to take White as a receiver too. If you get those two, they have nowhere to go. They can't get any separation anywhere else, and the offensive line's hurting him. And Tom's had to throw the ball away a lot. He's had to throw it away basically about a third of the time. He's had to throw the ball away to keep from getting sacked, and that's why his numbers are down. I don't think his game's down at all. I really don't think it is. I think it's just that he has had to throw the ball away so many times this year. He just hasn't had anybody open downfield.
Well, I tell you that Tony Romo completely concurs with what you're saying. This is not a reflection on a decline in Tom's ability.
I think he can still throw any pass out there. I don't think there's any problem with him. I don't think there's any. I just can't get the guys open. And once you take Edelman away, and again White out of the backfield, then they're hurting. How is Romo? As Nance and Romo, which has become a delightful listen. I mean, really, you've done a great job teaming with Romo and helped make Romo a very big star very quickly. He's got an amazing following, and he does it. He's an instinctive guy. He really is. He's a guy. Talk about someone who was natural for the job. Boy, Romo was really natural for the job. You know that?
Of course, there were a lot of people when he was brought on board and immediately put in this position. There were a lot of naysayers out there. A lot of the experts who weigh in on your show, weigh in on our shows, and they all second guessed and thought that CBS had lost its mind. And I don't think many of them own up to that anymore. But I mean, he was from the very first game. He was a sensation, and he's quick. He sees everything. His mind is amazing, and he's a super guy to be hanging out with. We have so much fun. Just going through the process.
Not since Madden has anybody had the impact he's had, and a big part of it was Summerall always set Madden up very well, and you set Romo up the same way. So you got to have the right partner, and it works very well. And you give him a lot of room to roam out there, and he does a heck of a job with it because he's very instinctive, and he obviously brings his knowledge of modern football and his ability to have just come from the position, but he is, he's very good at it. He's just natural. He's the first guy who has really been different in a very long time since Madden. He's the first guy I really feel, and I watch everybody say he's the first guy that has really made a difference where he's very different and he's changing people. They're all trying to copy him. Problem is there's only one Romo out there.
The problem is no one sees the field like he does.
No, they don't. They don't.
He instantly recognizes formations and knows where the ball needs to go. So when he has a game that involves, let's say, Tom Brady, he is going to look like he's the great soothsayer of all time because Brady sees what Romo is seeing.
Yep.
Tom, if he's given the time and he's got the players that can run the routes, Tom also is after 20 years. That's why he's had the success he's had. My point is that when Tony's in a game, sometimes with a younger quarterback who is confused and doesn't recognize things,
right?
And Tony isn't the guy that's wrong; it's the guy on the field.
Right, he's going the wrong place. He's going the wrong place with the ball, no question. And it's interesting. Last week Mahomes looked like himself for the first time. He looked like his legs were back. So I think that's something that's a positive too. Now, not that they want him to run a lot, but that he can run if he needs to. And I saw him last week make one run to the corner of the end zone where I thought he was finally the same guy as he was last year, where he had looked very gimpy. Now, he didn't look very good running until last week. I thought he looked good.
You're talking about the 15-yard run to the end zone for the touchdown.
Yep.
And we thought the same thing. That was the first time we said, hey, dislocated kneecap, the ankle that he rolled earlier in the year, I think that's all gone away. Come off a bye before that game against the Raiders last week, and they definitely look, healthy with Mahomes and some other guys. They're a little bit thin at running back going into this game. One last footnote on Romo, though. That game we had at Arrowhead.
Yep.
I think there have been so many great performances by Tony where he's been spot on, but he was never better than he was in that game in overtime. If you remember, as the Patriots are coming down the field, he called basically every single play, including a fly pattern by Gronkowski, Edelman 2 or 3 times on some key third down situations. He recognized at the line of scrimmage that's where the ball had to go and that they should be able to, complete the pass for the first down. And just like he was just absolutely in a zone. It was amazing to be next to that and watching it happen play after play.
Have you had Baltimore recently or no?
We haven't had Baltimore the entire season.
Is that true? Not one time?
Yeah, not once.
Wow.
Just the way it's worked out. It's a strange year in the AFC. We have a lot of teams at the bottom that we were expecting to be pretty good. Now, we may have them in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Week 16 hasn't been assigned yet, but Baltimore at Cleveland's a real possibility, and maybe Pittsburgh at Baltimore the week behind that is too. But we saw them last year a ton, maybe 4 or 5 times. And now here they are, the 1 seed at the moment in the AFC. We haven't seen them once.
You're right. It has been a different year, and there's no question. And, you know, Baltimore has now taken off to where they're obviously the other team. And let's be honest, Pittsburgh, you know, Tomlin, I think this might be the best job Tomlin's done in a very long time. I mean, he's had to make the moves. He's had to make a quarterback. He's had a bunch of injuries. He's got a young defense, and the team's playing well. It really is.
He's going to get a lot of Coach of the Year votes. There's no question. When you talk about losing Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, of course, wasn't around last year, but you lose that, and you lose Roethlisberger, and now you got a third-team quarterback. There's just a lot. There's a whole list of things that would tell you that, and they started just a dreadful start to the season. And how he was able to patch this together and put them now in the mix for a playoff berth. I think it's his finest effort, no question.
And, you know, folks, I've told this story a couple of times, and I told it last year when Jim was nice enough to, on what was the worst car ride in history, when he came in last year, nice, and we picked him up, and it took us 4.5 hours to get to the Hall of Fame induction dinner when in that November 15th night where we went nowhere for like 3.5 hours in the car. Jim, who was nice enough to induct me into the Radio Hall of Fame last year, was the reason why I got this gig here on FAN, because Jim and I worked together for years. I was part of his audition tape at CBS, and I also worked with him when he came and worked there the first time for college football, and he was the natural in those days. And he and I worked together for years there on college football and basketball and everything else. And I told him about FAN where after we had been together about 3 years, and he had done a lot of radio on his way up, and I couldn't get an audition or get an interview here at FAN after like 20 tries. And Jim had worked with a guy who was one of the producers here at the time named Luke Griffin, and Jim had worked with him during his way up when he was at the University of Houston, and knew Luke and called him, and Luke said, well, if Jim says so, then I got to give you a chance, and then gave me a weekend show, which led to me spending all these years here. So the reason I got in the door was none other than after I'd been rejected about 15 times was Jim Nance, who made one phone call and got me in the door at WFN. So that is a true story.
It's hard to believe that is, almost 33 years ago.
It
32 and a half years ago, Michael.
It is.
But I just wanted to call.
Yes,
I know you weren't looking for anybody to call in today. But
no, wasn't. No.
I've been feeling a whole lot of melancholy about it, and I think the previous call, 15, 20 minutes ago, said it exactly the way I was feeling it. There's something about it that's very sad because you've been such a part of so many people's lives. I'm so fortunate and cherish the friendship I've had with you since we both were just really young kids. But it's immeasurable how many people feel like they know you. They've been spending 5 days a week with you for the better part of their lives, and you've been a friend to them. And it's just an amazingly powerful resource, radio. I heard you talking about how personal it is. And I've just enjoyed hearing it this afternoon. Like I say, just feeling a whole lot of nostalgia. Your take on how you and Dog came together as individualists and both always wanted to be able to prove you could do it on your own. And I mean, that was just an amazing, amazing partnership you guys had. And congrats to you both. But just as someone that can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, I would never have the career I have today if it wasn't for the fact that you were there from day one when I walked into that door, frightened as a kid at 26, being handed a lot of responsibility. And people don't know, you were assigned to me as my behind-the-scenes editorial consultant.
Yep.
And you held my hand, figuratively, and every single show for years, you prepared me. We loved going through all the preparation, the dinners, the meetings, the actual on-air performance. You'd stand just off the side of the camera. I could see you like an orchestra leader leading me through, some of the more intense moments, whether it was in the studio for the NCAA tournament or college football or whatever it might have been. You were just an incredible part of my life and will continue to be. And it's almost impossible for me to quantify how much your friendship means to me. Courtney and the kids are in the car. They all send their love.
Hello, Courtney.
And I
Hello,
am just,
kids.
Yeah, they're looking forward to seeing you hopefully
Good.
soon.
Very soon. That's it.
But I just had to call today because obviously I was hanging on your every word like you did for me when Luke Griff gave you that chance and you were on the Fan for the first time. I was feeling the anxiousness that I knew that you had to feel, and the roles were reversed. I was hanging on your every word.
Well,
just hoping they would come out cleanly and, with authority and the potential that, the guy that I knew behind the scenes who could tell a story and knew sports better than anybody and just had a magnetism about him. I just couldn't wait to see that come out. So I was there for that first hour, and I wanted to be here for the last hour. And that's all I can tell you. I don't have a more loyal or dear friend in the world. And congratulations, because
thank
Michael, you are. There are not many people can say this. You are the best there's ever been at this, and congratulations.
Thanks, Jimmy. That's very nice. Nice to see the call. Tell Courtney I said hello. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim Nance. Thank you. I can't top that. But you know what? He overdoes my role with him because it's true. I work with Musburger, who is utterly brilliant in the studio. I mean, as good as anybody has ever been. There's a couple of guys who just stand out. Brian Gumbel's flawless. Costa's very good at it, and he could do both play-by-play and that. But Musburger was a genius in the studio. Unbelievable. I did the NFL Today with him. He was unbelievable. And about a month in of working with Jim, and I would work with Jim on Saturday and Brent on Sunday, Brent said to me, "Hey, the kid, is he for real?" I said, "He's for real. He's going to be around a long time. He's for real." And I knew right away that he was going to be an enormous star. I mean, and whether I was there or not, he was. I helped him. There's no question. And he and I have been like brothers. And he's family to me. He's not even a friend. He's family. So and has been since the mid '80s. I mean, he and I. We're the type of friends that we might not talk for a month, but if he needs me, I'm there. If I need him, he's there. He's always there. We've been like that for 35 years. So he is like family to me, and his family is like part of my family. But I knew right away that he was going to be an enormous star. And he is one of the, here he is all these years later. He is CBS Sports. And he is one of the, greatest sportscasters of all time. And he, without any question. He's had an incredible career, and will continue to have it. He's got a lot of years left, too. But there was no question, he would have made it with anybody. But, I was lucky enough to be there from the beginning when he came in. And quite ironically, it was that call Luke Griffin because I tried really hard. I came in for an interview, and they said, "You're overqualified. Hey, you work with Brent Musburger. You're on the NFL Today. You work CBS Sports. You work with Jim Nance. You work with, what are you doing here to be a producer?" I said, "I don't want to be a producer. I want to be on the air." They said, "Oh, no. You're never going to be on the air. So, and you're too qualified to be a producer, so you don't belong here." I said, "Well, I don't want to be behind the scenes. I want to do a show." And they said, "No." I said, "Just give me a chance to do a show." And I said, "You won't be disappointed." And they said, "No." So I couldn't get in the door. So I tried. And then I told Jim, and he said, "Well, let me make a call." So he made a call. Next thing you know, I got a Saturday morning show. And then the Saturday morning show, they said, "Hey, we like it." And then they gave me a Saturday morning show, and then they let me sit in for Pete, and then the rest is history. So that's, without Nance, I wouldn't be where I am here all these years later. So we've obviously had impact on each other's career, and very nice of him to call. And he's got a beautiful family, which is the most important thing. And obviously he's had, an incredible career, and lucky enough to be as good a friend as you could have in the world. He really is. Back after this.
It's Football Friday, and we'll be talking up all of this weekend's big matchups, including 49ers Saints, Ravens Bills, and Chiefs Patriots, plus preview the Jets Dolphins and Giants Eagles games. And coming up tomorrow, it's a big college football championship Saturday doubleheader on the Fan, beginning at 3:30 with the SEC title game as LSU meets Georgia, followed by the Big Ten championship game as Ohio State takes on Wisconsin. So keep your radio, mobile phone, smart speakers, and even your computer locked into your flagship station for NFL football and the best games in town. Sports Radio 1019 FM and Sports Radio 66 WFAN and WFAN FM New York, a radio.com sports station.
By SupplyHouse.com with the first pick of the plumbing and heating supply draft. Contractors select SupplyHouse.com with next day delivery speed and total inventory coverage. SupplyHouse.com does it all. Stop wasting your time and money. SupplyHouse.com, your online supplier for plumbing, heating, and HVAC. Take it to the house. SupplyHouse.com.
Mike's on. He's ready to go on the Fan. New York Sports Radio. Mike's on. Mike's on.
We're back here after 6 o'clock. We'll take you right up until 6:30 this evening on this Friday afternoon, what is now the 6th day of December, and will be my final show in Afternoon Drive here on the Fan. It's not going to be my final show on the Fan. It's going to be my final show in Afternoon Drive on the Fan in this role that I've held for all these decades and all these years. I will be back in early January. The first show, what we're going to do is we're going to be on radio.com, and I will be doing multiple things for radio.com. And you can get radio.com by just going to the App Store and downloading for free the radio.com app. It's an app you should have anyway because, I mean, from it you can access just a incredible amount of content, whether it's all the stations in the Intercom universe, podcasts, all kinds of different things, programming that's done just for radio.com, regional networks, everything else, and they have created basically a new area for me. They have all the archival stuff. Radio.com purchased the Mike's On app, so they have all the content that was produced for the app. They own it. Everything we had for the app is there. All the Mike and the Mad Dog stuff is there. So everything we do will be there. Also, we will do once we get into January and we get in routine, we will do the 5-minute morning. We will also do, I promise you, we are going to develop a political show around the vote next year, around the presidential campaign. We'll be doing a Decision 20 program that will be on radio.com. And then we also will be doing there for big events, like when the NFL playoffs start, we'll be there. You know, we might be there before the game, might be there after the game. We'll be able to, give you, we have immediacy, we can go on whenever we want. We also have the ability to take calls if we want to. If there's a big event, we want to talk to the audience, we can. And then what we're going to also do is, we're going to contribute to FAN, starting in January from 6 to 6:30. That's it, for a half hour every day, on the weekdays. Except when the Yankees play those 6 o'clock games in April and September, except on those days, we will do just from 6 to 6:30. We'll be able to give you a half-hour live program on whatever we think's going on. I'm still working on that format we're going to do, but we'll start that on January 6th, Monday, January 6th. We'll be up on radio.com before that. I will be up on radio.com at different times in the next month based on whatever I think's important. I mean, I'll be on and off, but I'll be there. You know, when there's a big event, I'll be around. And then we'll be there starting in January. January 4th, we'll be there for the NFL playoffs, and then we'll be there on Monday on a daily basis on radio.com, and then on the Fan at 6 o'clock from 6 to 6:30. It's going to be a half-hour show every night on the Fan. It'll follow the new afternoon drive show. That'll be on from 2 to 6, is my understanding, and then we'll be on from 6 to 6:30, leading into Yankee baseball year with that half-hour program. That'll be done live, 99.9%. And it might not be every single day if I have something else I have to do or I'm traveling, but for the most part, every day it'll be live. That I can do it. We'll make it live from 6 to 6:30. I'm formatting it as we speak. We're still working on how we're going to format the half hour. It's going to be something a little different, but we will see you then for that half hour in December. In January. So after today, that'll be the next time we're on. Next time we are officially on is January 4th, but we might bop in from time to time on radio.com before that. But right now, officially, the next time we are going to be on the air will be on radio.com, which you can get at just go to the App Store and just download radio.com, the radio.com app. And like I said, it's free. And you will see our stuff highlighted, the Mike's On stuff highlighted on the radio.com app. Tony in Hoboken, what's up, Tony?
Mike, really happy that you're going to continue on the format on radio.com. I will find you with my daughter. We'll listen to you wherever you are.
Well, thank you.
However it is. Just wanted to thank you again all these years. She's 18. She's headed to Miami next year for school.
Where's she going? University of Miami?
Yeah. We've talked about this before.
Oh, okay.
Mike, she's here with me. She just wants, if it's okay for her to just to say hi and wish you best of luck also. She knows you since she was a baby. So if it's okay if she just says hi to you real quick. Right? You there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Mike. So I've been listening to you since I was a kid with my dad, and we listen to you talk about the Mets all the time, and without my mom around, having you and listening to you in the car on the way to soccer games, and I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional. Just turning 18, being able to see you as a way that me and my dad to connect, and with me leaving next year, it's just seeing you go is like seeing like an era end for me, and I really appreciate everything that you've done for not only for announcing, but the sports community, the fans, and you really impacted my life and my childhood. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and good luck. Good luck in Coral Gables. And that school's it's a school I'm very familiar with. So, and it's a school that has. And thanks for the call and the kind words. Yeah, it's a school that has become. As their football program has sunk, their academics has risen. Maybe there's a correlation. I don't know, but that has become a very interesting school and a very in-demand school, as a matter of fact. But from a football standpoint, things have hit a little bit of a tough skid. But no, it is a very nice place to go to school, and a campus I've been to many, many times in my life in Coral Gables, Florida. Austin in Hazlitt, New Jersey. What's up, Austin?
Hey, Mike. I know you're getting sick of all these people.
That's okay. Listen, I'm not getting sick of it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's very nice, everybody to do.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you. I've been with you from the beginning.
Well, thank you.
30 years. And I'm going to follow you wherever you go. On radio.com, I'm going to find you.
Download radio.com and go to radio.com, and they'll show you how to do it. I had a meeting with them today, and they said, we're going to give you a thing that you can go on radio.com and show you how everything will work, and we'll set all that up. So we will have that for you. So they're ready for you on radio.com, all the folks that want to go there. So that was very, very nice. It's very nice of you to call and say that, but thanks very much. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing everybody there.
But, I'm just glad you're going to get to spend more time with your kids. Not to get personal here, but, I regret not having that time with my daughter. Now she's older and missing her volleyball games and.
Well, I've missed a lot, and I don't want to miss. I did get, and Jack's a freshman this year. Harrison's still in grammar school. Emily's a freshman in school now, in high school also now. And Jack, my twins, Emily and Jack, are freshmen. I got to a lot of their events this year. I got to a lot of Jack's freshman football games this year, so that was good. I have missed a lot of their games through the years because they're usually in the afternoons. I want to get to those. That's a big part of this. And also, in a couple of years, they're going to go off to college, and I just think it's a time where I want to be there a lot more than I have because I haven't been able to be there as much as I need to be, and want to try to do that a lot more in the next couple of years while still being able to do some work. I don't want to stop working completely. I never did. So they've afforded me the chance to do that. And like I said, I really, I told the radio.com people this today, I picked them because I really think that it's a vehicle that it has a chance to really do something special. It's set up very well. It's very uniquely set up. And anyone who goes there can see that it just is a place where you can get so much in one place. Podcasts and programming and, from across the whole country and all different kinds of every topic and every genre. So it's an impressive site. It really is. And I think they have a chance to really make a big difference in the years to come. So if I can help, grow their brand a little bit by bringing some of my audience there, then that's a positive too. So that's the idea. Plus, keep my hand, they asked me to keep my hand in on the fan a little bit, which I'm looking forward to doing, and it's a way to still be involved, and I'm looking forward to that. But I also think it's time to let someone else have a chance to take over what I think is the best job in the whole city, which is doing an afternoon drive on the station. I think it's one that is incredibly visible. It's one that has that Dog and I turned into something that was an important piece of real estate, and I think it will remain that for many, many years to come. And what we all know is, life moves on, and it's, time to let the next generation come in and do some stuff, and I think that, that's how life works. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to, doing a little something different. Lisa in Westchester. What's up, Lisa?
Hi, Mike. I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
And I wanted to tell you that I'm a single parent. My son now is 19 and going off to college. He never had a father growing up. So
right.
I give you the ultimate respect as a gentleman to say that, because it meant a lot when I heard you wanted to spend time with your kids, because not many men do that.
Well, you got to remember, I'm a little different father from the standpoint of I was always sensitive about being a father because I didn't grow up with a father. I didn't have one.
Neither did I.
And I grew up without one. So I kind of feel that it's a very important role to me because of the fact that I just know what it's like not to have one and not to have one present ever. So that's why I'm probably a little more sensitive to it than a normal guy might be, only because of the fact that I didn't have one. So from that standpoint, it's something I'm cognizant of. And, before I know it, they're going to be going off to college. So it's going to come very, very soon. So this gives me a chance to do both, to still stay in and do what I love doing. And it's given me a chance to also get to their events and their games, and not just the games, to get to whatever events they're performing in, or not just, and the games and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. And be the chauffeur too, as we know, which is a big role right now. Until they drive, you got to drive them everywhere, which is part of the deal. Which I'm looking forward to. So and still get a chance to do some stuff on in broadcast, because it's listen. That's what I am. I'm a broadcaster. So I have to talk. It's what I do. So, I have to express myself. I have to be able to do that. And this gives me the vehicle to do that and still do the other stuff I want to get done now. So it's the best of both worlds from that standpoint. It really is. Let me get this last spot in. Now, weekends are made for football, and with so many games on the slate, the DraftKings Sportsbook app can make your weekend even better. Actually, with all the hoops and hockey action going on, the DraftKings Sportsbook app can get you in on the action 24/7, 365 days a year. From odd boosts to free bets, DraftKings has it all. DraftKings Sportsbook is so easy to use. You can deposit, place your bets, and withdraw in a matter of seconds. It's no wonder DraftKings Sportsbook app is America's top-rated sportsbook app. Plus, DraftKings Sportsbook will give you a free bet just for signing up. And go to DraftKings.com/WFN right now. And for a limited time, all new users can get a free bet up to and make the first bet. Plus, you can get a risk-free bet up to $500. Don't forget, sign up at DraftKings.com/WFAN to place your first bet, and you can get a risk-free bet up to $500. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey only. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm not going to mention anybody by name now when I say thanks to everybody here, because I don't want to leave anybody out, and I don't want to, on my last show have someone think that I slighted them, because I didn't. So for all the people we currently work with, my guys here right now, and all the people here behind the scenes at the Fan, in all the different departments that I've worked with through the years, I mean, you're talking about, countless hundreds of different people who have come through all the different facets that make up a radio station, from all the different people who have been our board ops and our producers, many of which have gone on to their own broadcasting careers. Most of them are in our business, whether it's behind the scenes or as broadcasters themselves. Most of them are that in their own vein. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, the most noteworthy from this program, as someone who worked for a while on this program, we had people, work for a small amount of time, but as far as working for a while, like Ian started with us and has gone on, obviously, to a tremendous broadcasting career. So we've had a bunch of guys who have done that, through the ranks and have moved up and done that. A lot of them still here, as a matter of fact. So a lot of the same people are here, but I want to thank all the update people through the years, led by, obviously, Mink and Usler, who were with me from the beginning, all my producers and board ops and everybody who's been part of the program, part of the station, the program directors, and all the countless people, because, there's so many people who have come through the Fan through the years. When you're at a place as long as I've been here, 30 plus years, 30 some on years, a lot of the guys have come and gone. I mean, they have. But everybody, feels a connection to the Fan, because the Fan was first. The Fan was the first all-sports station. It was a grand experiment that was supposed to fail, and it turned out to be a colossal success. It turned out to be something very, very special, a place that is known far and wide. There's no one in sports in America that doesn't know WFAN. No one. Understanding the role it has played. You see that anytime we would go to an event, go to a national event, how everyone always paid so much attention to the Fan, because, we were the home office. We were the ones that started it. We were the ones that went out and tried to be, all sports. And, from the days of what Don Imus brought to this station, which was immeasurable, to obviously my relationship with the dog, which went on to become, one of the legendary programs in the history of radio, to this day. So, I thank everyone who's been a part of it. And more than anything else, the audience, I've said it many times that I challenge the callers and cherish the audience. They're different, and the audience, though, is out there, and it speaks in a big way, because without them being there, there's no ratings, there's no longevity, there's no success, there's nothing. So from that standpoint, whatever it was from the day I showed up here that allowed the audience to gravitate to me, I'm just very fortunate that was the case. Sometimes you don't know why things happen the way they do. But from day one, that was the case. From when I started by myself to the days through all the great, glory days with Mike and the Mad Dog, and then, when Dog left, all the success I had for the years, from all the different things we did all the way through. So it's been an incredible ride. It is a true story that I told Mark Mason when he was offering me the job, that if they gave me the job, I'd stay in afternoon drive for 15 years. I didn't. I stayed over 30 years. I stayed, a lot longer than I could have ever thought was even humanly possible. So it's been an incredible, incredible run. So I'm not leaving. I want that to stress that, because they, don't want, they say you make it sound like you're leaving. I'm not. So I'm going to be around. but it's time to pass the torch to somebody else, and I wish them nothing but success. Whoever it is, I don't know yet. You'll find out in the weeks to come, whoever that is, and I will follow them, that show from 6:30 starting in January with my small contribution nightly after the program airs from 2 to 6, whatever the next program is once they decide. But let me say to everyone I've worked with here, thank you, and to everyone who's had a hand in what we've been able to accomplish, I say thank you, and especially to the audience, because without you, it never would have happened. I would have been here 6 weeks instead of 30-some-odd years. The reason I've been able to accomplish the things I have is because the connection I've had to all of you. So thank you, and that will continue, wherever we are, that will continue, whether it's radio.com or on the fan or at appearances or wherever. I want that to continue for as long as I'm here, kicking around and doing this. So thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Very happy holidays and a healthy new year to everybody. We'll see you soon. Before you know it, enjoy the holidays. And again, thank you very much. It's been an incredible, it's gone too fast, but it's been an incredible, incredible run. I thank you all very much, and I'll see you soon.
Gambling can be fun for many, but for some it can quickly become a problem with devastating effects. A gambling problem may cause some to risk much more than just money. 800-GAMBLER knows that problem gambling has many faces, and they're here to help those in trouble by offering support, treatment, and hope. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available 24/7 by calling the confidential 800-GAMBLER helpline or online at 800gambler.org. They have changed the lives of so many and are just a phone call or click away.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66 WFAN.
Well, it is a very good evening to you, and how you be at 6:30 and 25 seconds to go right along with it on a basketball, football, baseball Friday evening right here on your fan, New York City. Steve Summers here, you there. Antonio Grillo, Pat Boyle, they on the other side of the glass. 1-877-337-6666. That'd be the number for a marathon. 20-minute schmooze right up until the Nets at 6:50. Right here on your fan. New York City.
Previously on The Walking Dead.
We got a dead man walking here.
Just the fact that we talk every day. We're in constant communication with each other.
Dad began to rise.
He's been pretty much the perfect executive.
These men were afraid, and their fear was justified.
2.5-year contract. That's my insurance. That's our business. The insurance is about that I have a contract.
He leaves me with very little to do.
And I think that was, for me, that was the most refreshing part of when I got to speak to Mr. Dolan, to hear how connected he was with these guys on the vision.
Don't cry for me. I'm already dead. I end up being the guy who signs the check and cheers the team. Sell the team! Anything I can sell the team?
But this was only the beginning.
We have the commitment from Jim Dolan to give us the room to do the things that we think are necessary to make this team into a winning team and a winning environment.
There's a lot of positives that came from that. I would say we got some good learning lessons that we can take from it and get better from.
Tangling their quarry in a web of horror until he reaches the brink of madness.
I am excited to be here to welcome one of the premier executives.
If you look at the whole enormity of it, it'll overwhelm you. And we're just going to take it one day at a time.
Baffling questions, astounding questions that not even the world's greatest scientific minds can answer.
I don't want to sit up here and act like I know exactly what it is, because they stung us in every way.
Jim is a fan and believes in what we're doing, but he has the same kind of expectations that we have.
No concern at all. We got a very resilient group.
The ultimate in adult and unadulterated horror.
And that's just the way I like it, by the way.
Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!
David Fizdale. David, take a breath. David Fizdale should be right now taking a deep breath, gather with his family, and make the best of the holiday season. And David, you can begin to smile now. Make the best of this holiday season with your family and friends, because you, David Fizdale, finally free at last. Free from the malfunction, dysfunction at the junction of 7th Avenue between 31st and 33rd Street. Free you are, David Fizdale, from an owner, paranoid, toxic, but free you are, David Fizdale, from an owner who can only count money thanks to his father. Free you are, David Fizdale, from Commodore Perry and General Mills, two puppets on a string. Free you are, David Fizdale, from these role players, these bench players, these spare parts who were signed and sealed and delivered to the New York Knickerbockers with an expiration date in February, when most of these role players, these spare parts, will be sold to the lowest bidder. Fizdale, David, you had to know. You really had to know what was coming. And you know what? We are thinking you are relieved, being relieved, since it's almost impossible to develop young players when either sitting on the bench or standing on the floor watching somebody else bury 1-3 after another, after another, after another. Nobody was going to confuse David Fizdale with any of the game's better coaches, but he's probably more aware now that what the Garden is good at, what they can develop better than anyone, is scapegoats. And Fizdale, David, he is certainly one of so many others who know how toxic the organization has been, how toxic it is, and will continue to be as long as Nero fiddles from the roof of Madison Square Garden in Midtown Manhattan. Toxic. Is that the word? And it will continue to be as long as Dolan is running the show and as long as the Garden sells out. Why do people go and see the New York Knickerbockers when the product is maybe at this point in time as bad as it's ever been in its history? And yet they go. How many times have we said before the only empty seat is the one Charles Oakley used to sit in? But David Fizdale, David, relax. Go get yourself a cigar. Sit back, relax, enjoy the holiday season with your family. You are free at last. Mike Miller, one of the assistants, will be the interim scapegoat until Larry, Moe, and Curly can find another stooge, another victim, another scapegoat. We'll take a break and get some business out of the way, and if we have time to take a call or two, we're going to do that. And know that after the basketball game tonight, full program on tap right around 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. So in the meantime, no from the 1-877-337-6666 on your fan. New York.
Live from State Farm, we have Sharon Flaversham, IT manager, attempting the